Hello and welcome to the FPL PubCast, the second episode. I am joined today by my co-host for top 1,000 finishes back in the Victorian times, best ever place of 35th, Nick TriggerLips. And then I'm also joined by two of the show's regular guests. So for a second week in a row, we have the pleasure of being joined by a man with a top 5 best ever overall finish, FPL D unit, Darius, and making his FPL PubCast debut, we have the wonderful FPL Nightmare, who has a best overall rank of the top 10k, I do believe.
Yes.
And we're also going to be joined by a special guest later on by the name of Muffin. If he is it he or a she, Nick?
It's a he.
It's a he. If he could make it on, but if not, we've got his FPL team anyway, so we can have a look at that later on. So I'll just say, how are you doing, lads? All good?
Yep, very good.
I can hear an ice cream van in the background of
That's
somebody.
That's mine. The bloody filters don't get rid of the ice cream van. Right.
Mr. Ricky, let's go.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a deep dive into midfielders. We're going to have a look. We're going to look at some lovely sides Darius has prepared for us for the best options at every single price range. So 4.5 all the way up to 14.5 million. We're also going to have a look at our updated drafts. I've entitled this stream No Salah, and I do believe I'm the only one out of us that still has Salah in their team. So before we move on, let's just have a quick say a quick hello to people in the chat. We have Sam from the Lane. Hi, mate. Martin. Combe. Hello, Combe. David's Football and Talks Games. Hello, mate. And Sam again. Okay. All right. So before we start, a little bit of what shall I call it? Update. So any money, just a reminder for anyone who didn't watch last week's stream, any money we make from this stream, be it from ad revenue, super chats, anything like that, will be donated to charity at the end of the season and will be split and donated to two charities specifically. Not going to go into detail about them every week. I'm just going to remind you that this is where the money goes to Mind, which is obviously a big mental health charity in the UK, and Street Child United, who are an international charity who work with homeless children. And there's also, you can also find links if you want to donate to either charity in the description to this video. And also a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, please sign up for our FPL PubCast mini league. The code to join is S3DHWZ. That's S3DHWZ. And also, if you click on the description in the there's a link in the description, it will basically just take you to the FPL site and sign you in automatically. Hi Paul, hi USF, hi KB, and hi to Connor. All right, lads, let's jump straight into it. So Darius, I was thinking the way we could do this. So we're going to go into our midfield deep dives. So Darius, so if you mind just giving us like a talk through, so we're going to have a look at each position. If you could give us like a chat about the players in general, and then we can have a chat about them in general, and then maybe vote on give a vote for our best player for each position and price point. Does that make sense? You right with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
let's
cool.
go.
So I know you don't have a 4.5, but I think you cover them here in with a 5 million. Is that right, mate?
Yeah, I do. So Trig will be able to talk a little bit about the only one that I think, and you guys might be able to talk about one of the other two, but the only three that I think are even worthwhile even looking at are Santos from Chelsea, because I think he will get some minutes. El Miley from Newcastle, which you two should know a bit about because he could get some games. And A. Ramsey, I think potentially he could get a game at Burnley, but the other ones are pretty much non-starters unless any of you awesome people know any of the 4.5s and think they're going to get a game.
Yeah, let us know in the chat if you're aware of any. Lewis Miley.
Yep.
You reckon he'll get many minutes, Andrew?
I think he'll get more minutes than you expect because I think they've sold Sean Longstaff so that Miley's development can continue and he can get on the pitch more frequently. Now, I do think he's not going to break into that starting 11 of Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes, but crucially, in the friendly against the South Korea All-Star 11 this afternoon, Joe Willock went down injured as well, holding his ankle. It could be an Achilles problem. It might not be. So if that's the case, we'll only have 4 fit central midfielders, and Miley will be the fourth choice out of those 4 fit. So he could be one to watch, but don't expect him to start.
No. And I don't think Ramsey will start at Burnley. But he's at Burnley now, isn't he?
If only Steve-O was here.
If only Steve-O was
do.
here. He should do. I mean, I'm assuming he would have cost a bit of money from Villa.
I would say so.
And that's not the same. That's not the same Ramsey that plays for
It's
Villa.
his brother. It's his brother.
Oh, it's his brother, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's his
okay.
brother.
Fair
I
enough.
believe so. Anyway. Yeah.
So let's go into slightly more interesting ones. Can you talk us through the 5 millions, Darius?
All right, so the 5 millions, the ones that were unlucky probably not to make the graphic itself, because I did fancy him. I just wasn't sure on how the teams would actually go. So Tanaka and El Lafi actually look like pretty good options, and PM Sarr for Tottenham's not too bad either. And then Longstaff's obviously signed for Leeds, and you would expect him to probably start. Gray, I think you can put a line for him mainly. Dewsbury Hall, unless he leaves Chelsea, probably no good. Barkley and Onana, not fit enough for Villa, but if they left, they could be good. SA was an interesting one. Very small sample size last year for Crystal Palace, and his stats for the very small sample size are amazing. But again, minutes is too much of an issue. Bonanate's obviously gone back to Brighton, but is he going to get a game? Mainu, obviously, is not in Amarin's first choice thing. But Ugardi's an interesting one. Now, Ugardi comes in at number 3 on the defensive contributions out of all the players in the Premier League. He's just behind Casemiro, actually. And you would think that if Ugardi plays, he probably is a lock. But again, all these players like the Andersons, the Ugardis, whoever, and Caicedos, they get too many yellow cards. So I think when they get the 2 points, they're going to get one off. So in reality, they're only getting an extra point. I don't know if there's really too much in that. Lavia is also injured as well. So the 4 players that did go over, Christie, his defensive contribution stats are really good. Obviously had 5 attacking contributions, like attacking returns in 27 games, not horrible. Wharton was injured for a lot of last season, but he is an unbelievable player. And I think even if you look at his expected assists, I mean, he's almost got 1 every 5 games attacking contribution-wise, plus the defensive contributions. Balaba's just a ball machine, but again, he's more defensive contributions. But Nelson's the one. He's currently not at Fulham, but Fulham are in advanced negotiations to sign him from Arsenal for $5 million. The dude's stats, 0.2 XG per 90, 0.18 expected assist per 90. I think he could be the absolute 5 million gem. Like, if you ask me for one, which one I think's the best, it's probably him. What do you guys reckon?
Go on, Trig.
Right. So Nelson, I don't really know too much about him, to be honest, but just wait and see, isn't it, for Nelson, because he's not even joined yet. Wharton doesn't play enough minutes, does he? Although he's the best, I think. If he played 90 minutes every week, he'd definitely be the best one. But I'd say it's between Christie and Belieber, isn't it? I'm tossing up between both of those because very similar. I think Christie, if it wasn't for the fixture, I think a lot more people would have Christie than Belieber probably. But there's not much to choose between them. But they do look good for 5 million. Christie or Belieber look decent options. And Wharton, like I said, if he gets in the team, I think Eze's leaving, isn't he? It looks like Eze's going to go to Arsenal. I don't know how that would affect Wharton, whether it would affect him at all. But if he gets game time, then he's going to be really good. And I'll just say, at the bottom of the list, who have we got at the bottom there? Dewsbury Hall could be interesting if he gets a loan. We don't know where he might go, but if he's loaned out, he could be interesting. So he'd probably be playing as a number 10, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lavia would be good, but he doesn't get enough minutes. Always injured.
Lads, can I say, Steve on Elite FPL the other day was saying he really doesn't like these picks, like Belba, because they're mainly going to be in for the defensive defensive contribution points, but they're only really likely to get those when they're playing, a really good side like a Man City or so on, and you're probably not going to play them then anyway.
That is untrue. I've seen some analysis. I can't remember who off, and the defensive contributions are generally spread pretty evenly between superior teams and inferior teams. Like I think it was Wan-Bissaka was one example. Like everyone thought, it's going to be against the tougher teams, but at least half of his DEFCON points came against like the weaker teams. And when you think about it in a bit more detail, it makes sense really, because the reason they're winning these games is because they're beating teams on the defensive side and shutting down their attacks. So I don't think that's anything to really be concerned about. But what I would say is that when you're looking at a 5 million player, it makes sense to look at the defensive contributions, because you're not bringing in a £5 million player for your first 11. You're bringing them in to be that first sub. And it would be better to have, like, I saw Zophar, the legendary Zophar of The Wire, Trigger's old rival from a decade ago. He was saying he would prefer someone like a Dingra, who might get 9 points, 2 points, 2 points, 3 points, and 2 points, and try and catch that 9-point haul over someone that would get 4 points every game. But if it's your first sub, you want somebody that'll get them 4 points every game, because you'll know that's not enough to start them. So you're fine with them on your bench. But if they are called into action, you've got to save 4 points on the bench. And that's where someone like Christie could really come into his own, or Belabor, because, they'll rack up these points like consistently, 2 points every, it could be any game that they're called on. They could get these 2 points. And that's what you want from your first sub, just someone that's not giving you a headache on a Friday night deadline, but gives you that security if you have somebody miss out when the team sheets drop. There are 2 other names that aren't on this list that I would put forward for consideration. The first, for 5 million, yeah. The first is Anton Stack of Leeds, who Andy Martin, when he went on The Wire, he was very high on. He thinks he's coming in there to be Leeds' main man in midfield, and he's going to mop up the DEFCON points. So that's one to consider. And I feel a bit dirty saying this, so I might have to rinse my mouth out with soap afterwards. But Granit Xhaka of Sunderland was priced in at £5 million this afternoon into the game. And
a lot of love for him in the chat.
This is someone that I can't consider because of the shirt he wears, but some of you less partisan viewers may well consider. I know the Parrot was very high on Granit Xhaka, and obviously, if he does come into the Pirates squad for Dingra, it gets him an extra $500,000 in the bank as well. So, but that for the viewers wondering what's Nightmare on about here, he's lost the plot. He's talking about Parrots having FPL teams. Just you wait. Okay. That's to come later in the show. Hang around on the stream while we pick up the momentum.
I think Granit Xhaka could be fantastic. He might well have gone to my top pick now for game week 1.
No, just £5 million. Now I'll just rinse my mouth out with soap.
All right, let's move on.
Do you remember when Xhaka got suspended quite a few times for Arsenal for red cards? I wonder if everyone remembers that in the chat.
Yeah, I do. I had him in my team at least a couple of times. Let's move on to the 5.5s. I mean, we can get to whether we'd have any of these low-priced players in our teams later, I guess. Do you want to give us a chat through these ones, Darius? Bigger names here, aren't there?
No problem. Yeah, this is an interesting price bracket because there's some blokes here that could explode if they get some moves. So, for example, Jamie Elliott from Liverpool, if he goes to one of the rumoured clubs that he could go to, he probably goes to the top of the 5.5 list, I think, because I think he played 90 minutes at a different club. Noto at Leeds is interesting for attacking wise, but again, Leeds, I think we need to see their form, a bit like Sunderland early doors. It's either going to be brilliant or they're going to be getting relegated very quickly. So it's like you can take some risks there, but I just think that calculated risks are probably not good in those spots. Caicedo, again, he's just defensive contributions. And compared to the other ones, it didn't really tickle my fancy. Sessegnon, yeah, not sure. Bailey, he was injured a lot last year at Villa, but it could be interesting. Marlon without Rashford and what's his name? Asensio in the club now. He might actually get a really good run of starts. And if he can develop his form from what he had before he got to Villa, he's probably the best 5.5 million asset. Jay Arias could be really good. Trig and I watched him in the Club World Cup. He was a decent, handy player. And Alcaraz, actually his stats at Everton are a bit better than what people think. And I think potentially this year we might see a bit more improvement from him. But the 4 I went with were Anderson, because his defensive contributions are unbelievable. But he did have 10 yellow cards last season. That is not ideal, because that's 10 points out of the, I think, 30-odd that he would have got taken off with a yellow card. So in reality, it eats into those points. Tonali, I think, could be a great option, and maybe you and Gary and Andy can talk a bit more about that. He has attacking contributions as well as a defensive contribution. So I really like him as just a nice pick. Then you got Adringa, who obviously has joined Sunderland. His stats are really good attacking-wise, actually the best of the lot here. So his underlying attacking data is really good. Unfortunately, he just didn't get the starts at Brighton. But again, he's going into a Sunderland team that's been promoted. Will his stats actually be that good? Or will we see what happens when you go to promoted teams and they play accordingly? The one that fascinates me the most, though, is, I'm going to butcher his name because I've already committed to saying his name is Reindeers for the entire season. And I know it's meant to be Reinders, but Reindeers it is. And there's a reason why he's at 5% and the rest are at 2.5 and below, because this dude from 30 starts last year scored 10 goals in Serie A. And I know the Serie A league is a crap league because Man United signed their players from there to play up front. They don't score goals. So Reindeers probably won't score, but his stats are pretty good. And he scored 10 goals. And at 5.5 mil, if he can avoid the pep roulette every other game, he's probably the best pick.
Andrew, I'll come to you first for this one, mate. Do let us know, by the way, in the chat who your favourites in each of the categories would be as we go along. See, a few people are mentioning Harry Wilson. Anyway, yeah, Andrew, what's your take on these 5.5s? I mean, there's some big defensive contributors in there, isn't there?
Right. Well, I've got a few points to make in response to Darius. The first is when he's talking about Elliot Anderson losing points from the DEFCON points last season. He wouldn't, because he's already had the yellow card points taken out. So he would have still ended up with 137 points for 5.5 million. Yeah. So that's not really something to worry about too much. The other thing with Anderson as well, especially with Alanga coming to my beloved Newcastle, Anderson will probably be on more set pieces this season. So that's something else to factor into your consideration. And of course, if you were to watch my wonderful video from the other day, trying to deduce TriggerLips' secret FPL clues, you'll find that Elliot Anderson was declared a must-have in that video. Moving on to Tonali, I think Tonali is an excellent player. He's mustard. He is mustard. And I wouldn't be against putting him in the team, because he can get the DEFCON points, and he does get the odd attacking return as well. 4 goals, 2 assists, and 28 starts. But I do think there's probably better options out there. Just a few names for consideration that aren't on the list there. There's Oscar Bob of Man City, £5.5 million. Now, he was slated to have a special season last season, and then he got injured very early on and barely got any minutes. Now, obviously, they've made a few transfers since then. They've brought in Cherky, they've brought in Reindeer, they've brought in Marmouche since then as well, and Nipan at 5 million. They've brought him in, although they reckon he'll be loaned out. But Oscar Bob is definitely one to keep an eye on, because if he gets a start in the second game week, then that is going to be a bandwagon for the price. In a similar vein, Echeverry of Man City, he made his debut in the cup final, if you remember. I don't think he'll play for Man City, but if he is loaned out, I heard some rumours of him being loaned out. Echeverry could be one to watch. And who was the other one I'd just seen? Oh, no. I did see some. Oh, yes, Manor Solomon of Spurs. He was on loan at Leeds last season and he got 10 goals and 12 assists in 39 games. Now he's back at Spurs at the minute and he's nursing a little bit of an injury, but not a long-term one that should be clear up pretty soon. Now, if Manor Solomon gets his loan back to Leeds, as has been discussed, behind the scenes, I'm reliably informed, he could be one to watch as well with them 10 goals and 12 assists. So there are 3 other names for consideration at the 5.5 million bracket.
Yeah, every time I hear that reindeer player now, whatever you pronounce his name, I keep thinking of that, that purple reindeer. No, not purple. Was it the film that came out last year about the stalker woman?
Baby reindeer.
Baby reindeer. I just keep seeing a vision of that woman. Trig, what's who's your preferred options in this bracket, mate?
Well, I think Reinders, I wouldn't go near him simply because of the minutes. I think at this price, it's minutes that you want, isn't it, really? And Anderson is obviously the favourite at the moment, isn't he, in the community? He looks pretty solid. I mean, he's going to get you steady points.
Yeah, he's the popular one.
If you want something more exciting, I like Arias and Malin out of the ones at the bottom there. Both very interesting. Malin, great fixtures. You know, if he hits the ground running, he's very attacking. Could be in for quite a few points. And Arias, more assists and goals. But, he's decent as well. So a Dingra, I might have a Dingra on my bench boost. If you're bench boosting in game week 1, then I think a Dingra is a very interesting option. And Tonali, I'd just go with Anderson, I think, over Tonali. Caicedo, I wouldn't bother going there. And, yeah, that's about it, I think. Malin, Arias, if you prefer attacking players. Or Dingra, otherwise Anderson.
I mean, Dingra's he's very good on the eye, but he doesn't produce too much output, does he? For all the talent he's got, he sort of makes me think of that sort of player. Let's move on to the 6 million lads. So getting a bit closer to Greg, you had Souček in your draft last time, didn't you? Darius, do you want to give us a quick run over through these 3, mate, and this bracket?
Yeah, no problems at all. So we've got the ones that are unlucky to miss out, and they've missed out for different reasons. So Solly March is an unbelievable player. However, he's just not been fit for the last year and a bit. So he'd probably be in there if he had been fit. Chan went off the boil last year, and I think Wolves have a lot of players that can play the same position now, and I don't think he's nailed at all. Paqueta, apparently Newcastle could be interested in signing him, which would make sense because he likes the slots with Tonali, so that'd be good. Odango, again, he's not a starter. Obviously, it was great when Evan Nilsson was out last season, but yeah, when he's not out, he doesn't really start. McNeil, he plays for Everton, but again, he was injury prone last year. Smith Rowe was in and out of the team. He started a lot at the beginning of the season. By the end of the season, he was benched for more games than he was starting. And Hudson-Odoi is probably the unlucky one at 6 million to miss out. But if you look at him compared to the other 4, like Hudson-Odoi's underlying stats are not that good. And he also didn't start as many games as people seem to think he did either. And I know Alanga's left, but I think Forest are going to sign a winger. So I don't think Hudson-Odoi is really an option. Then the 4 that I did pick, Minte's got the most upside. I think his second season potentially at Brighton, provided he doesn't get injured, his attacking underlying stats are just so much better than everyone else in this bracket. So I think that he probably is someone that, I'm surprised. There's a reason why all these blokes are under 2% owned, because when you compare them to the 5.5s, there's not a hell of a lot in it. And probably people are thinking, if it's my 5th mid, I might as well just go a bit cheaper. But I really like Minte. I think there's a lot of upside there. Souček, when West Ham win, he generally scores. So when he's I mean, those 9 goals there, probably all in West Ham wins, and there's a reason why he got 15 bonus points. So, again, that's an option to consider. If you think West Ham are coming up to a good run of fixtures, Souček, again, has pretty good defensive contribution underlying data, as does Tielemans and Damsgaard. There's not too much between them. They get around. I think I prefer Damsgaard because I think he's completely nailed, and I think that they're going to have the creativity problem with Brian and Burmo leaving. Damsgaard's going to be on more corners, probably on more free kicks, more chances for even more assists, and I think his assist threat's probably the best out of the 4 of them, to be honest with you. And Tielemans, though, but you've got to look at the fixtures as well, and Tielemans' fixtures are just ridiculously good for the first 9 or so weeks. I think that Aston Villa's got the best run of fixtures, so I don't think you can go too far wrong with either of those 4, to be honest, but I'm intrigued to know what you guys think.
Yeah, Matipsy's, a few people are calling out Tielemans. Sorry, Andrew.
I was going to say Tielemans will probably also have penalties as well.
Yeah.
Ironically, he took one last season in the league and missed. In fact, throughout his data in the Premier League, he hasn't actually scored a penalty. He's just missed them.
Did not know that.
Trig, what's your take on these ones? I mean, I have to say this is the first one where I can honestly say I don't think any of these will be coming near my team. I think the 5 millions, 4.5s, I might have them in there. I can't see any one of these being in my teams. Trig?
All 4 of those are interesting, aren't they? But like Darius said, the 5.5s, there's not enough to split the 5.5s to the 6s, even a couple of the 5s. So I think Souček's good. I've had him in 1 or 2 of my drafts. Minte's good. They're all good, those 4. They're all going to do pretty well, I think, for the price. Other than that, it doesn't look like a huge amount of options. Hudson-Odoi, I guess, could be interesting if he gets more minutes.
Yeah.
And Smith-Rowe, I don't know what's happened to him. I mean, he was quite prominent at the start of the season, wasn't he? But then he faded away.
Yeah, what's the other lad? Fulham ended up massively outscoring him, didn't he? One begins with I.
Jorginho, I think it was.
Iwobi.
Iwobi, that's it. Iwobi, yeah. I wonder if he's going to come up in the side. Andrew, any thoughts on this one, mate?
Yeah, I think the problem with these is, if you, like you say, I feel like they're an awkward price point. I feel if you find an extra 500,000, you get a much higher quality of player for your squad.
That's it.
Or if you sacrifice 500,000, you've got you might as well sacrifice the 500,000. I don't think these players stand out by £500,000 to make it worth disrupting your squad balance. I think Minty could be, if any of them are really going to elevate the levels this season, I think it'll be Yankuba Minty. I think the only name I really feel has been missed out that could be interesting is Mason Mount of Man United. He's only 6 million. He was getting a little bit of a run in the team last year.
Look, I can see Harry
is shaving his head. Well, what if he does? What if he does? Didn't he score some key goals in Europe? I can't remember. I don't know. I'm not saying to pick him. I'm saying pick no one from this price bracket.
Mason, I've got to bring Darius in and let him have his opinion.
You never let me finish my opinion.
Get in the banter going, lads. Darius, no, Mount.
Mason Mount. I was sitting there, I was like, what am I listening to? The dude sits on the injury table with Luke Shaw holding hands, singing Kumbaya more than he's on a football field kicking a football. How can you pick someone like that?
Well, I wouldn't pick any of them, but he's certainly one to keep an eye on, because if he can find his fitness, he's been a dangerous player over the years for Chelsea, and in the running for I'm not going to be able to get the stats up in time to make them relevant to this conversation, I don't think, but he's been that's quite impressive at all. He's only got 29 goals and 24 assists in 159 league games. Sack him off. Who suggested Mount?
Great comment, lads. Some Men in Black. Trig, we need to get Troy Parrot back in from AK Alkmaar. All right, let's go on to the 6.5s.
Where's he starting, Andy? Where's he starting? Mason Mount. Is he going to start instead of Brian and Bumo? Is he going to start instead of Cunha? Instead of Bruno? Ahmad? He doesn't get a game.
I said Just making a conversation point.
I love it. I love it.
We're here to converse.
United fan, I can't stand him.
Ian, run us through these ones, mate. I mean, first thing I'm going to say is you've got fan favourite Kudos, not even got his image up.
Yeah, let's be honest. I looked at the stats, and people are probably going to be writing in the comments. Where's Kudos? Where's Ndai? Ndai makes me want to die inside. I said it on my stream earlier today. His stats are crap. Of all the 6.5s, I don't know why he's so popular. It's just because people think that he's going to be on penalties. They've just spent 25 million on a striker. There's no way that guy comes in and goes, "Oh yeah, you can cape penalties." Like, in what world do they think Ndai is going to be the penalty taker when they spend that money on a forward? Any good forward worth their salt is taking penalties off him, and he's gone back in his box.
Oh, he's in his slot as well, yeah.
He's no good. So I don't know why he doesn't make the cut at all. I had no interest in looking at him. When I looked at his attacking data, it's crap.
And Declan Rice right down the bottom of your list.
Yep. So there was a few people that were unlucky to miss out here. Kudos was not unlucky. He plays for a team that's worse than the one he played at last season, and he wasn't even any good last year, so I don't know how he gets any better going to a worse club. I think Man United dodged a bullet not signing him. Jacob Murphy, I think, unfortunately, is impacted by Alanga, so he doesn't become an option, too much of a minute risk. Garnacho, if he stays at Man United, is no good. If he goes to a different club, could be an absolute gold mine. Jerky, there's Pep Roulette, so that's why he didn't make it. Slobberslai, they've signed Wirtz, so how's he getting a game? McAllister is interesting with the defensive contribution points, and he's actually pretty attacking as well, so he's a bit stiff, but I just thought there was better options. Iwobi, he got lucky last year. He's not getting lucky again this year. And Dye makes me die. Ismail Assar is very unlucky. If it wasn't for Crystal Palace's opening fixtures, he would be in the 4, let's be honest, because I think he's brilliant. Giddens and Estavio, Trig will back me up on this. Estavio was really good in the Club World Cup, but I don't think he comes in straight away and starts. So for that reason, those two are both not in. Matoma is stiff, but again, Brighton share the load around too much to really be considered. Rice is the really interesting one, and it was between Rice and Rodrigo about who I included. But Rodrigo's stats in the season before he did his ACL were so much better than Rice's that I had to include Rodrigo instead of Rice. If there was a 5th spot, it would have been Rice. So anyone going, where's Rice? That's why. So I did go with Bruno Guimaraes. I think, again, great art. There's a reason why Newcastle's midfield dominate because of him, Tonali, and Jolington. And the dude has never started. Starts 38 games last season. And he got 11 attacking returns, and he's a defensive contribution monster. What is not to love there? I'm surprised he's only 1.3% owned. Rodrigo's the interesting one. If he's back to full fitness and he starts game week 1, he's an absolute steal. If we go back to those 23-24 stats, 0.31 expected goal involvement per 90, which is insanely good for someone that sits centre defensive midfield. And he got 18 attacking returns in that season as well. A lot of people have forgotten about that, but if he starts the ground running, he is probably the pick of the lot. Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea, one of Trig's boys, he's really good, just plays every game pretty much. 32 starts last season. I think the only games he really missed were for injury. Again, 14 attacking returns. They obviously bumped his price up from what he started last year, but he's, again, really good. And then the one that's a real wild card, 20 starts last season, he had 16 attacking returns. Ahmad, 6.5 mil. Now, most of those people go, he's playing right wing back. Well, about 40% of those returns actually came from when he was playing at right wing back. So that shouldn't really concern him. And I think actually having better players for him to cross to in the box other than Rasmus Højlund will equal more assists for Ahmad, and it'll actually be better for him than maybe playing in that 10 role. That's just my personal opinion. You could call that my Man United bias, but I think Ahmad probably is getting slept on by a lot of people.
Well, no, Andrew, when I'll come to Andrew in a minute, I know he's a big fan of Ahmad. A few people are making a point. PK7 and Bryn are both saying indeed he will be on penalties, which is... but then Greg's saying Barry's penalty record overall he has taken and scored 4 penalties. We don't know who's going to be on, do we? We'd just be guessing. Andrew?
What I would say with regards to Everton is that it has to be. You have to bear in mind they've just moved to a new stadium, and there's often teething problems for clubs when they change stadium. I think Arsenal had problems, Spurs had problems. So I think Everton, they have nice fixtures. They look positive for our teams, but we just have to bear in mind that where they're going, it's like a Dickinson Hill Stadium or something. Like, what sort of stadium is that?
Is that what it's called?
It's something like that. It's like it's sponsored by a local petrol station or something. But they're not going to be speeding down the motorway straight away.
Well, what's your opinions? I've heard you mention Ahmed in a positive light a few times, I think, Andrew.
The first thing I'd like to say is I was just reamed out for mentioning Mason Mount, and now I'm seeing Garnacho in that list. How likely is Garnacho to start at the moment?
If he goes to a different club, a highly likelihood, I reckon. Well, it just depends on whether he's up for sale, and I think he'll go. If he goes to Chelsea, he might not start, but if he goes to Villa, I think he walks into that lineup.
Didn't he get in trouble for liking a Marcus Rashford WhatsApp or something like that? He wore a Villa
shirt with Marcus Rashford on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Well, he's probably
heaven forbid. I mean, Anthony Alanga was wearing Newcastle shirts on Instagram while hanging out with Will Osula before he signed for us. So maybe there's a clue for you. Maybe too obvious for one of my videos, but now with regards to players, 6.5, I would say Darius has probably got the top 4 correct here. I think McAllister could also have a good season. He's got goals in him from distance, just not very regularly. I mean, Undai, like I say, could go either way. Ahmad, I believe, if he stays fit, will get 170 plus points. I said it at the end of last season on the season review. I say it on every stream I go on. Ahmad, I feel like even at right wing back, like you've got to remember the wing backs at Amorim uses, they're not like defensive wing backs. These are attacking players. They are meant to play as the wingers when the team have the ball, so that the Umbumo and Cunha can cut inside and bring the attacking options more centrally. So Amad Diallo is going to be in them positions from which he plundered 130 points from 20 starts last season. I am very keen on him, but their opening fixtures are terrible, so it's a wait and see. Bruno Guimaraes, again, we have some tough opening fixtures. I agree with everything Darius says. Bruno Guimaraes is sensational. This is the year he's going to be seen as one of the best midfielders in the world. And I'll because when we're in trouble in tough games, he's the one that steps up. He's a captain by example. He steps up, and if our striker leaves, then he's going to step up. Also, a lot of his extra points that he got came after Tonali came into the team and took over as that holding midfielder. After that, Bruno Guimaraes was more advanced. He was like hanging around the box. Probably not quite a De Bruyne, but more like a Bernardo Silva, just like buzzing around, finding the passes. And you've got to think as well, we have brought in Alanga. Like, you could say, oh, we're losing Isak, and I don't think we will. I still don't think we're going to lose Isak. But when Isak was overplayed last season, so there was no cover for him. This year, we might have Wissa, coming off the bench for Isak or whoever is our starting striker. There's going to be more attacking options for Bruno to find with the passes. There's going to be more avenues to goal for Newcastle, even if the greatest striker in all of world football leaves. So Bruno is definitely worth it. But you look at like our opening fixtures, they're not the kindest. So I'd maybe just hold off a bit till after the transfer window to reassess. Enzo Fernandez, I think, will be excellent. I think he was a very underrated pick last season. I think a lot of the time people get Palmer and they think, well, I've got Palmer, I don't want a Chelsea double up. But you should just be looking for the players who are going to get you the points. And at that price, Enzo Fernandez could well be a steal, especially when a lot of the time he seems to barge Palmer out of Palmer's preferred position to take it for himself. Like a lot of those returns that Enzo got last season were should have been Palmer's, but Palmer was moved out of position at times. Although Maresca seems to have sorted that in the Club World Cup, and Palmer seems to be getting back to his best. But Rodri of Man City, he is the one. Like, I mean, let's not overthink things. He got 8 goals and 10 assists. He plays every minute just about. He is like a one-man defence. And he'll get all the DEFCON points. I think he averaged 11.94 DEFCON points a game or something in the season before last. And he add to that 8 goals and 10 assists. Like, if he's fit, this is always the problem when you're coming back from a season-long injury. It's how long is he going to take to get back to the optimum level? Well, when he does, what I would say is I think Rodri will be a lock on people's first wild card, but I don't think people will go there straight away. Declan Rice, very similar. And to point out about Rice as well, they've brought in Zubamendi, who will be playing that holding role that Rice occupied for large parts of the season, which will unleash Rice to go forward and to make those, like, really, people think of Rice as a holding midfielder, but what he really is, the player that's inside Rice, desperate to burst out and may well do this season, is a Frank Lampard. And he's making them Lampard-esque late charges to the box. And, Rice could be 180 points this season, or he could be 80 points. He's one of them. Can he maintain that last 3 months of the season going into the new campaign?
I just want to give a quick shout out to see FPL Punk and FPL Freshie in the chat. Both have great YouTube channels. Go out and check out FPL Punk, who's hopefully going to come on with us one week, and Niall, who did his first podcast the other day, which I thought was very good. Trig, what are your thoughts there, mate?
Well, I don't like Enzo for a start. I've got to disagree with Nightmare there. I think now they've got João Pedro in, Enzo's going to be further back. He was good when he was 4.5 million or whatever he was, but at 6.5 million, I think there are going to be better options than Enzo Fernandez. Rodrigo, he was out for a whole year. I mean, he came back for the Club World Cup. He wasn't great.
Yeah.
And it's going to take him a while to get back to what he was. People going on about 2023, 24. Well, that's a long time ago now. So we're going to have to wait and see on him.
He's not a guy with one pick, is he?
Ahmad, the fixtures would put me off Ahmad. I mean, there's going to be a time when Ahmad is a really good pick, but you can say that about a lot of the Man United midfielders, I think. They're going to be excellent when they get going. And Gumrez, wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. Now we get on to Gittins. Gittins could be very interesting, but obviously not yet. This is a problem with a lot of these in that I think by the time the season ends, we would have all had Gittins in our side at one point or another. And Esteval is absolutely superb, absolutely superb. So world-class player, Esteval, but how much we're going to see of him, that's, we're not going to... he's not going to hit the ground running, I think, because Neto's going to be there. But you wait and watch. Esteval, absolutely brilliant.
I'm going to move on to...
hang on, I haven't finished yet. I never get a fucking turn. Right, hang on. Sorry to swear.
This is a charity stream.
Oh, I have to sit here for 20 minutes listening to them, and I'll get about 30 seconds. Now, listen. Right, Mitoma. Tell them, peeps. Tell them. Right. Mitoma's obviously very good. I mean, he is good, Mitoma, isn't he? If it wasn't for these new defensive points, I think everyone would be saying Mitoma was the best pick here. And whether we are overplaying these defensive points, I do not know. A lot of us are ignoring the players we normally get, aren't we? And going for all these defensive picks. And it could all backfire on us. The likes of Mitoma could do really well. And I've actually got an interesting thing to show you all in another program later about the points. But Rice is obviously, I agree with Nightmare on Rice. He's become far more attacking, far more of an all-round player. On corners a lot now. He could be superb. Zubamendi's freed him up to go further forward. They've got a proper striker. I think Rice is excellent value. And for me, I'm tossing up between Rice and Ndai to start the season with. I wouldn't touch that prick Sire after what he did to me last season. Very scarred by him. And another two that are good, of course, are Kudos and Tell. Nobody's mentioning Tell, but with Sun going, Tell could be a decent option. You know, he's a good little player, Tell. And we'll wait and see. But Tottenham have already got a load of injuries, I noticed. Solanke's injured. Udogi's injured. And done his knee in, I think. Somebody said he was out for 4 months, but we don't know that for sure. And his backup Spence is injured as well. Right, that's it. I've had my turn now. You can interrupt now, Harry.
Yeah, sorry, Trig.
Sorry, everyone.
Always
it's the coffees that have done it.
Always respect your elders. I'll just say, I'll say to the viewers, we were planning to go through every single position tonight. Can you imagine? We'd have been here till bloody midnight, wouldn't we? I was going to say Andrew didn't seem impressed by the Gittins. I'll move on to the 7 million. Do you want to quickly tell us why, mate?
Because there's not a chance everybody's going to have Gittins in the team. Like Chelsea have got about 1,000 wingers. He's going to get about 5 minutes of football. I'm going to say more people will have Nicholas Jackson in the team by the end of the season than Gittins.
Yeah,
Gittins the bin.
We shall see.
Well, I think Jackson will leave. Jackson will probably end up replacing Isak at Newcastle, and I'll be here every week being like, "Oh no, it's going to work. It's just Eddie Howe's going to work his magic at some point." Although
Jackson
on that point, if Isak does go, I really hope we get Darwin Núñez in part exchange because I love that bloke. Like, and he's a flawed. Núñez
better off with Jackson.
Well, I'd have them both. Eddie Howe's reform school for troubled footballers. Get them both in. And I think Núñez is a player in there. And like you won't hear many Liverpool fans have a bad word to say about him. You know, he does miss chances, but Isak misses chances as well. You know, I feel like what a lot of people are forgetting is the season before Eddie Howe got his hands on Isak, he scored 6 goals in the league, in the Spanish league, which is vastly inferior to the Premier League. Isak wasn't world class until Eddie Howe got his hands on him, and Darwin Núñez has got them same raw attributes. Just need polishing like my head on a night out. And wants to do. I think Darwin Núñez, I would get him, but also I feel like it would solve a lot of problems for both clubs because we could probably get Núñez on as a bargain, and it would make the deal a lot easier for everyone. We'll get Wisser in to replace Callum Wilson, get Darwin Núñez in. And, 90 million, 100 million pounds, everyone's going to end up reasonably happy with the outcome. And then, we've got that money in the bank for next season to sign a proper player.
Okay. Darius, do you want to give us a chat through these? We're starting to get on to a bit more sexier players now.
I can do, but I will say, I just want to go back. Because
this is a charity stream, Gary. You keep your sordid thoughts to yourself.
Trig said that you wouldn't go near United players because of the opening fixtures. And I just wanted to bunk a little bit about that. So Manchester United versus Man City, when they went to Man City last year, Ahmad won a penalty and then scored the winner and had one of his biggest hauls of the season. Against Man City, at Man City. Against Arsenal at home, Manchester United drew last season 1-1 when we were absolutely turgid. Bruno Fernandes scored that day. And against Chelsea, who I think we've got at home the week after that, I think they drew against Chelsea at home as well. So people are writing off Man United's fixtures because they're playing the hard teams. But last year, they actually played fine against the good teams. It was the rubbish teams like the Burnleys and the Fulhams that we struggled with. So I think people might be reading a little bit too much into those early fixtures. But yes, moving on, we've got the 7 million zone. So these guys now, Elanga is a really good option, and I think he'll end up being the starting winger on the right for Newcastle, but he is going to be sharing minutes with Murphy. So that's why he's not in. Savinho, Pep Roulette, Pedro Neto. Chelsea just signed all those players that Trig said in the last thing, like Gittins and that. Is he really going to be starting every game? I don't know. Johnson's unlucky but the only reason why he's not in instead of Maddison is because of the fact that Kudos arrived, and I still don't know why they signed Kudos, but I think Johnson's a better player. And Kudus generally plays better off the right, according to all the West Ham fans I have interviewed about whether he's going to be any good at Tottenham. And they don't understand why Tottenham bought him when they had Brendan Johnson. So neither do I. Trossard, Martinelli, Madueke. This is the problem of Arsenal assets. They've bought so many good players this year. There's going to be squad rotation there. I think even for Declan Rice, Zubimendi and Rice, I can see games where one starts and the other one's benched and the other one starts and the other one, just to keep them fresh. I know it's not a popular opinion, but it is possible with the squad they're building. It's a bit like Gyökeres. Like Havertz has got to play as well. I think there's going to be lots of rotation in that Arsenal team. It could be maybe Arteta's learnt from Pep. Pep roulette might become Arteta roulette this season. Then, so on to the 4 nailed blokes. So Shard is actually the one that I would have done a 5th one of. He is going to be nailed at Brentford because they're losing their forwards. He could be on penalties, and everyone seems to love Ndiaye because he's going to be on penalties. And Shard's attacking data is light years ahead of Ndiaye's underlying attacking data, but I didn't encounter him because these 4 are just the 4 nailed ones at 7 mil. Rodgers plays literally every single game, 37 starts last year. His underlying attacking data is actually not as good as you would think, but the dude is a minutes monster. And the more time you spend on the field, the more time you've got of an attacking return. None of these guys are going to be getting you any defensive contributions on a regular basis, so ignore them for that. Madison is the pick. Now, Ange didn't like Madison because he threw too many darts, but Ange is gone, and so is Ange Ball. And if all we have to do is look at Damsgaard, Brian and Burmo and stuff like that, and look what Frank did with them. Madison, I think, is a better player than Damsgaard by a country mile. And the dude already showed last year in his 21 starts, 17 attacking returns and 21 starts in Ange Ball. That's pretty damn good. Then we get on to Semenyo and Kluivert, and this is literally a flip of the coin or a flip of the card. They literally both had 18 attacking returns. Kluivert obviously relied a lot more on penalties, and penalties for the bonus point system have been nerfed for midfielders this season, as was forwards. So instead of plus 18 for a penalty, it is now plus 12. So for that reason, I think maybe Semenyo is probably the better pick, but I think you can't go wrong with either of them. Outside of the Liverpool game early doors, it's a really nice run of fixtures for Bournemouth. But if you want my pick for who I think is actually the best pick, I think it's actually James Maddison. That's the Spurs player you want, not Kudus, not Tell. You want James Maddison. He's more explosive, and he's shown over a longer period of time that when he's on form, there's not many better.
When he's not injured.
Yeah, and that.
Craig,
or at the dart.
Craig, I want to come to you this time first, mate, so we don't leave you hanging for 20 minutes again. What's your thoughts on the 7 millions, mate?
Well, one you've missed out, I think, is Neto. Is Neto on that list? I don't think he is he?
Yeah, he's right at the bottom there, mate, in the middle.
Oh, yeah, he's on there. He could be decent. But I agree with Darius. In terms of pure class, Maddison is the best of the bunch. But all the others have had quite a big price hike on last season, haven't they? I mean, Kluivert and Semenyo were great last year, but I think they were only 5.5 million, weren't they, when they started off? So it's those 5.5 millions we've got to get on, I think, that are going to be next year's 7 millions. And Rodgers is another one. I think he came in at 5 million, didn't he, at the start of last season? So they've all had massive price hikes to kind of catch up with their points production. I mean, they're good options, obviously. I mean, I'd go Semenyo over Kluivert, I think. A lot of people have got Rodgers in the team at the moment. So he's probably the best one to start with, given the fixtures and everything else. Elanga's obviously going to be very good. Sade, whatever his name is, we just don't know with Brentford, do we? I mean, if he starts the season like he ended the last one, then he's going to be fantastic, isn't he? I think Trossard's leaving and Martinelli's not going to get a look in. Madueke could be interesting if he gets game time. He's very attacking. But how much game time he's going to get, we do not know. And Eze's apparently high on Arsenal's list, isn't he? So he's going to be on the left if he turns up. Arsenal's going to be a fantastic looking team if they get him. So all in all, I think I'm on the 6.5 millions at this stage and the 6 millions. And if I went for anybody to start the season with, it would probably be Rodgers. But I don't know what's going on with Villa. I think they've got financial issues, haven't they? Like, I don't think they'd want to sell Watkins, but
No.
they might not have much of a choice. And if Watkins goes, then they're not going to be up to much, are they, really? So, yeah, that's about it from me. So over to Mr. Nightmare.
Andrew, we've got a question from Greg for you. Do you think Gordon will be on penalties if Isaac leaves?
It depends. I think Fabian Schär is very underrated for how often he takes penalties. He's very cool, a very cool customer. But it would depend on who we brought in to replace Isak, because we're not signing. If he goes, and I'm still not convinced he goes, he won't be leaving until we've got somebody else through the door. And I think whoever comes through the door is more likely to be a penalty taker. Gordon's decent enough at them, but I'm not sure he's taken one since he bottled it against Everton at Goodison Park last season.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've got options. You know, Guimaraes has taken the odd one as well, but
it's Gordon 7.5.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you look at to go back to the midfielders on the screen, it's interesting because Semenyo and Rodgers both outscored every option at 7.5 million, as did Justin Kluivert. There's four options.
The Bournemouth two lads are underpriced, I reckon.
I don't, but
do you know?
It was just the point I was making was that there's 4 players at 7.5 million, and all 4 of them were outscored by Semenyo, by Kluivert, and by Morgan Rodgers. Now, when you talk about who to bring in, Morgan Rodgers does seem like the one because he's a minutes monster and everything. He's got 8 goals and 11 assists. He should improve, but when you look into the data, and it depends on how much of a data nerd you are when it comes to picking your players, he got 8 goals from an XG of 6.49, and he got 11 assists from an expected assists of 5.24. So he's vastly outperformed his expected assists there. Now, there are players that are so good that they do outperform the statistics, because like Heung-min Son of Spurs was traditionally always outperformed his expected data. Could Morgan Rodgers be that? He's a very skillful footballer, but I don't know. I think he's in my draft that we'll see later. I can't remember which one I gave you, but looking at the details, I'm not convinced he'll stay, if I'm honest with you. But the one that Schade, what the bloody hell are you talking about, pal? Brentford are terrible. Now, Brentford, I can't express this clearly enough, and it's a charity stream, so I'm going to watch my words because Gary's had a word with me beforehand after my last appearance. But Brentford are hockey pucked because they've got nobody. They've lost the captain in Norgard. They've lost Umbumo. They're probably going to lose Wissa. That's 40-odd goals between them. They've lost the manager that made it all happen. And who've they brought in? Nobody. They've promoted somebody from the youth team to be the manager in the hope it can continue. But how often does that work out for teams? You know, you talk about the Liverpool boot room back in the day. It's 30 years since that strategy was successful. So Brentford are actually my tip to be finished 19th, probably ahead of Burnley, who are just going to drop like a stone. Because what I didn't realise is Trafford isn't the only one of that much vaunted defence who's been sold. And apparently quite a few of their defensive and holding midfield mainstays have gone. So, I mean, I think Burnley are gone. And I think Brentford will be the ones above. I think Sunderland and Leeds will be fighting for 17th. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves were down there as well. But I think Pereira's probably a bit too much of an effective manager for that to happen. Although that is a bit of a sidetrack from what we're talking about, which is the midfielders. I quite like Madueke early on. I know there's the talk of Eze, but what I would say is that they've spent £50-odd million on Madueke, and that's not to play a bit part role. I feel like he'll come straight into the team over Martinelli or Trossard at left wing, where he finished the season for Chelsea, I believe. And he's a very selfish player. He's probably the most selfish footballer I have ever seen. You could have 3 players with an open goal, and Madueke would try and beat 2 defenders and chip the keeper. That's how selfish he is. And that's exactly what you want in your FPL teams, really. Somebody that'll go the extra mile, that'll anger all his teammates just to try and get you that extra 2 points on your FPL team sheet. So I wouldn't rule Madueke out, but he won't be in my team.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I've got Semenyo in my team. Me and Trig looked at this table the other day about the cheap midfielders and where they would have, how many points they would have scored, including defensive contributions. And Semenyo, it was 4 out above. It included 7.5, was 4 out above everyone. So he's in my team. And I can't remember who said it. Someone said in the chat that if you take Bournemouth's first fixture out, their fixtures are very good. You know, if you ignore Liverpool, which I agree with. All right, let's move on to the Fab 4, the 7.5s, Darius. It includes Gordon.
Yeah, there's only 4 of these guys. Yeah, there's only 4 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually for the next few ones, these are the only players at that price point, which makes it pretty easy.
Okay.
Gakpo, look, people think they're not going to sign a Diaz replacement. I still don't understand. I don't think Gakpo will start many more games than what he started last year. And yeah, and when he does start, he generally gets hooked after about 60 minutes or 65 minutes. So again, minutes are a problem there. So I think of the 4, he's probably the one I'm least favoured on. And obviously with Liverpool's opening fixtures as well, you'd be a very brave man to go there straight off the bat. Now they have got difficult fixtures, and Liverpool, unlike Man United, didn't go as well in the big fixtures last year. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Gibbs White, he signed a new contract at Forest. I think the problem with Forest, I expect a massive regression for them this year. They've obviously got European commitments as well as the Premier League. I don't think their squad is big enough or good enough to deal with that, which is also why I'm slightly put off from owning any of their defenders at the moment. Outside, even in the first few game weeks when you think, oh yeah, it's the start of the season, they've already got European qualifiers in between, I think, game weeks 2 and 3. So that's problematic in and of itself. And I just think that they're going to struggle. I feel like they're the classic team that gets into Europe. Crystal Palace are another one to watch out for that as well. And Newcastle. The last time Newcastle in the Champions League, the league form really dived away because they got more injuries and the squad wasn't big enough to deal with it. So there's risks with all these 4 picks. And I don't really like any of them, if I'm being brutally honest. I think Gordon, he could be on penalties, as someone in the chat said, if Isaac leaves. But again, the dude does suffer with injuries, but he's Eddie Howe's favourite. But if you look at his stats last year, and he had 12 attacking returns from 28 starts, which isn't that's worse than a lot of the 6.5s that we've already looked at. So I don't know if he's really all that. Gibbs White had 18 and Eze obviously had 16. I think Eze's the one when he's on form and Palace are on form, he's probably the pick of the lot by a fair distance. But if he goes to Arsenal, I don't think he's worth owning because, again, it's going to be him, Madueke, Martinelli, Saka, rotating that Wanyeri, rotating those positions. It's going to be Arteta roulette. I can see something like Pep roulette happening at Arsenal this year. They're building a very deep squad. I'd even argue at Liverpool it's very similar. Like they're building these super squads. Chelsea obviously got Gittins with Pedro Neto and a bunch of other players as well. I think that we're likely to see a lot of rotation between those 4 teams that are in that we expect to finish in the top 4 that are in the Champions League. For that reason, you have to consider all these things. I'm not sure any of them are really players that's why I don't have any of them in my own team.
And Gibbs White, he definitely has signed a new contract, hasn't he?
Yep. Yeah, he has definitely signed a contract.
Yeah, Andrew, let's come to you first for this one, mate. We already established Gordon. We're not sure if he's on penalties or not, but any of these in your team?
I think all of these are a hard avoid. I think Eze is overrated as an FPL asset. I think he has 1 hot streak a season, and that's about it. He only scored 148 points last season. So, all your Bournemouth, the 2 Bournemouth lads outscored him. Jacob Murphy outscored him. Loads of people outscored him. Vastly overrated. Gordon was he wasn't very good last season. And with regards him being Eddie Howe's favourite, Anthony Gordon got sent off against Brighton in the FA Cup, which meant he was ruled out of the cup final. And then he was the sub. Harvey Barnes replaced him in the team for the rest of the season. And Harvey Barnes performed very well. Now, could Gordon come back into the first team? He probably will. But he was the worst performer of our wingers last season. The fourth worst, if you include Elanga in that list as well. I don't think any of our wingers are really worth going for in the early stages because you just don't know what's going to happen. Gibbs White, again, it's like Darius said, you've got Europe, not worth it. You might as well just get Elliot Anderson and have the extra £2 million. And Gakpo, he's the only left winger, but you've got Szoboszlai and Florian Wirtz. And if Szoboszlai plays attack midfield, Wirtz can play off the left or vice versa. Also, if they do manage to sign Isak from us, Ekitike will play on that left as much as Gakpo. So I just don't think any of these lot are worth it when you've got better options who score more points for cheaper.
Yeah, you guys are talking me. I mean, I haven't considered any of these guys anyway. But Trig, what's your opinion on these four, mate?
I have to agree with the other two, basically. I mean, Gakpo has the most upside if he plays, but then again, you've got better Liverpool assets anyway, so you're not going to go there. I mean, even the defenders will probably outscore him.
Yeah.
But Gibbs White last season was obviously very good value at 6.5, but then again, even when he was 6.5, not many people were bothering to own him. So why anybody would want to own him 7.5 is beyond me. He's been overpriced. Gordon, lots of potential, but if Nightmare doesn't like him, and you probably shouldn't like him, Eza is probably the best of the bunch, but again, he's not somebody I particularly would be wanting. So this group here is a bit of, like Gary said, we looked at that chart and Semenyo was predicted to be higher than any of these. The 7 million ones are actually better than 7.5 million ones.
Well, let's go on to what I think might be the most contentious category with some of the players. And I know Darius is was about to say something. As Andrew says, it's a charity stream. I was about to make an inappropriate remark there. I know he's a particular fan of one of these players. So, Darius, run us through these guys, mate.
I'll tell you something really interesting. So, early on today, I did a stream on my team rating all these drafts, and I can tell you that the card said it was a good draft for every team that had Phil Foden in it. And Phil Foden's currently in my own draft as well. So I just want to caveat that there is a little bit of bias here, and it's not towards the players that play for my club. It's actually to the one that plays for the rival. But me and Phil Foden go a long way. Anyways, going back to Gibbs White, I don't understand how Elanga came in at 7 mil and Gibbs White came in at 7.5. That is the biggest mystery to me. I honestly don't understand it. But yeah, I just thought their stats were so similar last year, and Elanga was the better pick last year and somehow was the cheaper one compared to Gibbs White, which was interesting. But onto these four. So Cunha and Mbumo. It is Mbumo. I've learnt this because he did it on the Man United video. Look, Mbumo's, all you have to do is look at the starts from last year. 38 starts last year for Brentford. He is a reliable fitness monster. However, I think we're likely to see a massive regression from Mbumo's points this year, and he's not going to be on penalties, because Bruno Fernandes is still at Manchester United, and he also plays 90 minutes every single game. And so you can chalk off 5 to 6 goals of that 20 straight off the bat. I think, though, I think he could definitely get 10 goals, and I think he could get probably 10 assists. But does that make him a good asset for 8 mil? It's the same for Cunha for me. I need to see how Cunha has actually looked really good in the preseason without actually having any attacking contributions so far in the 2 preseason games. But he has looked good. He's made Man United's attack look a lot better. But I think if you were going to spend up on Cunha and Mbumo, I'd say save 1.5 million and go for Ahmad, because I think that he's probably going to produce about the same as these two. Odegaard's an interesting one. Now, last year he had a bad year, and he obviously was injured quite a bit, and Saka was injured, and I think that impacted on Odegaard. I expect Odegaard to go back to his form from probably 2 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago, where he was a really good asset, especially with all the extra players that Arsenal have bought, which are hopefully more clinical finishes. We should see more assists. But again, there's so many players at Arsenal now. Does he even play every game anymore? I'm not sure. And then obviously Phil Foden. Now, this is bigly caveated on the fact that last season he was just Pep related, but he had an amazing 5-week stretch that was godlike. Actually, the best 5-week stretch of the season by anyone, I think, when he absolutely popped off. I think it was even better than any 5-week Salah stretch if you take out the double game weeks. I'll caveat with that. But he was brilliant. Those 5 weeks where the fixtures were good. His stats as well are through the roof. And I think what I've seen at the Club World Cup when he did play, every time he was on, he got an attacking contribution during the Club World Cup. So, and I think with all the change at Man City, I think this could be his time to come back and shine. And I think particularly if they don't sign a right back, I think Mateus Nunes will start at right back for City. And that when he started at right back, that's when Phil Foden went absolutely ham in terms of point scoring over that 5 weeks, was with that setup. I just think he's the one with the biggest upside. He's the one that can do a Cole Palmer on his day and get you like 2 goals and 2 assists like he did in some of those games last year. Yeah, I mean, the card loves him. I love him. But we'll see. Pep roulette, you never know.
Darius, how did I know that was going to be the conclusion that you came to? Trig, what are your thoughts on these 4 8 millions?
I think once easy fixtures come, I think Cunha is probably the best bet. Odegaard, I agree with Darius. He's going to be further forward this season, Odegaard, and I think he suffered by not having a proper striker in front of him to provide assists for.
Why Cunha over in Burma?
Because, like Darius said, I mean, and Burma's all about penalties, and he's got Ahmad on the same wing, so they're points. Cunha looks much better. He's on the left on his own, and he's just a world-class player. I think he's better than. I think he's overrated. I think Cunha's a much better player, and he's gonna get more points basically. Foden, I couldn't go near him. I wouldn't touch Foden. I know he's very good. He looked pretty good in the Club World Cup, and he's on the way back, I think. I don't know what was wrong with him, but he looks like he's in a better space than he was. But then again, that City midfield is now so crowded. We've got Turkey and all of these people come in. So who knows what's going on there. But I wouldn't start with any of these 4. I wouldn't. They're an awkward price to fit in at the beginning of the season. But once United's fixtures clear up a bit, Cunha'd be the one I would go for. But then again, you've got Fernandes, so who do you pick? I do not know, really. If Watkins goes there, maybe Watkins, but we shall see.
Andrew?
I agree with Trigger that Cunha is going to be the best of these 4. I think Cunha is going to absolutely go off this season. I would be very excited if I was a Man United fan. What Man United need more than anything, like all the talk is they need these good footballers. They don't. Man United aren't that sort of club. What Man United need is players with the cojones to step up to the stage and make the match about them. The ones that have the courage and the conviction in the heart to say, I am the main man, give me that ball, I am going to win you football matches, I am going to win you trophies. And if there's any player in the Premier League who has that, who isn't already at one of these trophy winning clubs, that would be Mateus Cunha. He demands to be the main man. And I think he will be. I think he is going to relish the Old Trafford stage. And I would be very excited if I was a Man United fan. I also think Mbumo will do very well. Like people are saying, oh, he's all penalties. What I would also say, though, is that hypothetically, Man United are a better team than Brentford. And there are better players there. And that's just without a shadow of a doubt, Man United have got better players than Brentford. And I feel like Mbumo, again, will step up to the stage. People doubted Mbumo last season when Ivan Toney left, and Mbumo stepped up. He took over that role. He took on the mantle of being the main man, and he produced the goods. I think he'll do the same again. There's no reason to suspect he won't. However, I wouldn't have either of them, because you might as well save, $1.5 million and get Amad Diallo, or find the extra $1 million and get Bruno Fernandes, who is a certainty. You know for a fact Bruno Fernandes, he's going to get 170 plus points. He's going to be on set pieces. He's probably going to get an extra 20 points from the DEFCONs. There's a chance Bruno Fernandes could be the highest scoring player this season. And I'm not saying he will be, but would it really surprise you if he was? Not for me. Odegaard and Foden are past it and the crap, and if you've got them in your team, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah,
seriously, 1 year he's going to take minutes off Odegaard this season. If they bring Eze in, he's going to take minutes off Odegaard. And Odegaard is just not very good. He's been a consistent underperformer in FPL terms, apart from one season. He's an attacking midfield Almiron. And if you bring him in your team, you're asking for trouble. Why not just find the extra $1 million and get Gyökeres if you want to take a gamble? Why not find the extra $2 million and get Saka? If you do Cunha down to Amad Diallo, you can get Gyökeres instead of Odegaard, and you're going to have a better team.
Yeah, I think
Foden, give me Marmoush. Give me $500,000 and give me Marmoush.
Yeah, I think you guys are right, totally. Just give my own opinion. I mean, this category and the one before, I'd be going 7 million, or I'd be going above it. Just to say, 84 people watching it, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe. And if you want to support the charities that we are supporting for the whole season during this stream, if you drop a super chat, we will give the money to charity. But YouTube takes 30% of it. So even better, check out the links below and donate to the charities directly. All right, okay. 8.5. Ooh. Son. Is he even? I thought he was going, Darius. I thought he was off. Do I talk to this on, mate?
Yeah, so look, there's only 8.5 million midfielders in the game, and it's really interesting. So Son is probably the most proven Premier League asset. Now, I was actually shocked when I looked at when I was doing the research for this. So he had 24 starts last year, and he had 7 goals and 10 assists. That's 17 attacking returns and 24 starts, which is pretty damn good. I'm not considering I thought he was rubbish last year, but I actually still scored quite a lot of points in the games he did play. However, there's rumors that he's only in South Korea for the South Korean game because he's South Korean, and then he's off to, I think, someone in America's after him, apparently. But Frank's made some encouraging remarks about Son that made me think that maybe he might not go to America. It's going to be interesting because I still think that Son is Tottenham's best player. So, he's better than Kudus. Kudus. Yeah, I think he is. I think
agree.
He's still Tottenham's best player. There's a reason why Tottenham finished 17th last year, because they're crap. They're a crap football club, and they've got no good players except Son. So that's why they finished 17th.
Would you say that about the team that came 16th?
I'd say the same about the one that finished 15th, but yeah. I don't know who finished 16th. Someone did. Apparently West Ham finished 14th. Or maybe they finished 16th. I'm not sure.
It was Manchester United.
No, we finished 15th. We're definitely 15th.
I'm gonna look this up by you two at all.
It was United definitely finished 15th. I know this.
You beat Villa on the last day, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was 3 days earlier. It was 16th versus 17th for the Champions League. That's where I've gone wrong. My mistake. So would you say that about the team that came 15th?
Oh, 100%. We were rubbish last year, but we've actually signed some good players, whereas Tottenham has signed Kudus. So I think we're going one way and they're going the Tottenham could be relegation material this year.
Tottenham 17th, Wolves 16th, and Man United 15th. That's
Tottenham and Wolves to go down instead of Leeds and Sunderland. You heard it here first.
What do you think, Trig?
AFC one son.
What do you think on that trigger?
No comment. Wirtz, I think, is obviously the pick here, isn't he? World-class player, Wirtz. And Marmoush is just not... I mean, Marmoush could be brilliant, couldn't he? Let's be honest. But is he going to get the minutes? Very risky to go for Marmoush. But Wirtz looks the best pick to me. And it's encouraged me to go without Salah because at 8.5 million, I can see him being decent value. You know, he's proven world class. He's been very good in the Champions League, very good playing for Germany. He's not like the normal kind of players that come over from there. He is actually top quality. So as for Son, a bit past it, Son, unfortunately. And probably will be going off to America. Probably should go rather than stay for another season. But I do think that Tell's a decent little replacement. He's going to get quite a few points for his price. So, yeah, but I certainly wouldn't be getting Son, even if he stayed. But Wirtz is pick of this bunch, I think.
I thought the interesting thing was the ownership. So Wirtz's ownership is almost sitting around 35% and Marmoush's is sitting at 3.3%. Now, I don't know if it's because of the fact that everyone's looking at the stats in Germany now. I'll tell you a few things. Shinji Kagawa, who had amazing stats, a bit like Wirtz for Borussia Dortmund, and we all saw Jadon Sancho for Borussia Dortmund. They come to the Premier League and they're no good. So he's obviously coming with a massive price tag. Like 120 million euros is a massive price tag. And we've seen good players go for that money before and not been able to live up to the hype, or they've crumbled under the price tag. So I think there is a few concerns about whether Wirtz is just going to hit the ground running and what position he's going to play. Because arguably in Germany, from what I could work out, most of his starts were more on the right, and on the right is Mo Salah, and he's not going to be starting there with Mo Salah in the team. So maybe he's going to not hit the ground as running as much as we think he might, and maybe the smarter move might actually just be to go with Marmoush at this price point, because we've seen he can score in the Premier League already. 7 goals and 14 starts shows that he can actually do it 1 every 2 games. So I don't know. I just was surprised by the ownership difference from someone that's already played in the Premier League, and we've seen that he can do it in here, versus someone that is going to be brand new to the league with a lot of other new players at Liverpool trying to bet in all at once. I think there are some risks there.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, it's such a big difference. Do you think, Andrew, it's just the hype for Wirtz being a new player?
I think there's 2 factors. I think there is the hype for Wirtz, but also Wirtz is a world-class player who, like, let's not, you know, people say this about these, like, flighty players, you know, these, like, silky players that come in from abroad. And, you know, people would say, like, I remember back in the day, 10 years ago, people would say, oh, Lionel Messi couldn't do it on a cold night in Stoke and all this. And then David Silva came to the Premier League and absolutely dominated it without barely breaking a sweat. And I feel like Wirtz will be Liverpool's David Silva. I don't think there's anything to worry about at all. Now, if Gary's got the correct draft on his slide later on, my draft has both Wirtz and Marmoush in, because I agree with the fact that Marmoush, you know, he's like Man City that normally take a season to settle and then they go off. And I feel like Marmoush is poised. I think he's got a few set pieces. He can score little dinks from up close. He can score screamers from afar. I think he's actually quite nailed in that team. But I feel like the ownership difference is because Wirtz is going to be nailed and people are concerned Marmoush won't be, with the likes of Foden, Doku, Savinho, Reindeers, Sherky, you know, there's Echeverry even. There's a lot of options in there, but I think Marmoush keeps them all out the team. So I've got them both in my squad. I believe, if Gary's put the right one up. So... Yeah, Trigger, they're saying in the chat, they've only come for you, so you need to talk more.
I would if I had the chance.
I give it to you before, and you said you weren't going to say anything.
All right, we'll come to Trigger first on the next one, then. Let's do that. So the premiums. There, we've got the exciting one for you to talk about, Trig. Talk us through your thoughts on this one. Bruno Fernandes, Saka, Palmer, Salah. I should have probably been reading these out for the audio listeners.
Fernandes, I think, very good. I was one of the few people that had him last season, and people were saying he was at an awkward price point last season, but he was very good. No, everybody didn't like him because basically they couldn't have him because their structures wouldn't allow it. But the people like me that got him in, he was brilliant. He was probably my best player last season in terms of points per game for when I owned him. And he's going to really tick along with these extra points that he's going to be getting. So in tough matches, he's going to get 2 extra points. And he can still score and assist in those matches as well. So you can play him every single match. He's central to everything they do and is 100% nailed on and playing 90 minutes. So to my mind, he's better than Saka, who at 10 million is going to be managed. He's probably going to get about 67 minutes or 68 minutes or whatever. And then Enweria come on for him. And we don't even know if he's on penalties anymore. And I just don't think Saka is worth it over Fernandes. Palmer, if he's back to his old ways, will be absolutely superb. But we do not know with Maresca. I know Maresca played him on the right during the Club World Cup, but Maresca is very much a team person rather than a Palmer person. And if he thinks the team can do better when Palmer's not in Palmer's best position, then Maresca will put him in not his best position. You know, Maresca played him on the left-hand side quite a bit, and it did not suit him. He's much better coming in from the right. But if he is back to his old form, I don't know what happened to him, whether it was a lack of confidence. He said he had a couple of things going on in his personal life, which are now solved. So I'm hopefully Palmer's back to his best. As for Salah, I think, look at the price difference between him and the other ones. And I just don't think it can be justified. You know, last season, 12.5 million. Best season ever by anybody, I think. Will not be repeated again. And he's still obviously a very good asset. And if you buy him and captain him game week 1, you know, he could get you a hat trick. But I think over the course of a season, that 14.5 million is just too much money in terms of what you can get elsewhere. So he's not in my team currently.
I mean, yes, 5.5 difference between him and Fernandes. And without spoiling your draft too much, mate, is Salah in for you? I mean, we've entitled this one on the thumbnail "No Salah," which you suggested.
If you've put the right draft on the slide, then he's not in my team. But
he's only in my team.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm actually, it's a tough one because I was watching Darius's stream with his pal Tom earlier, which is well worth watching if you want something to watch after this stream. And Darius said that, Salah, he's going to score 100 points less than he did last season. And he may well do. But if he did score exactly 100 points fewer than last season, he'd still be the top scoring player of last season. So the other thing with Salah is he's a captaincy certainty. Like, I like that he's more expensive because it forces you to think, is it worth paying an extra £4 million to have someone that you can be, that is nailed for captaincy? And the same with Haaland, if you look at him at 14 million. These are the players that are the auto captains, if you will, and you have to pay for that privilege. Now, maybe Salah does have the drop-off, and he's got the tough fixtures, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Arsenal. It's not a great opening, but he could easily score 2 goals in all 3 of them games. And if he does, how much are you going to be panicking before he plays Burnley in game week 4 when you know 56% of people are going to be captaining him? These are the things you have to consider. But he's not in my squad at the minute. I do have, I believe, Palmer and Saka, but I am actually thinking maybe Bruno Fernandes would be better than Saka just because I don't like Arsenal. I just don't like them. I don't like Arteta. I think he's a poor manager. I think he's a disgrace of a man. And quite frankly, I would like to see Arsenal get bombed out of the top four. And do you know what? I'm not saying that they won't. I think this is, hit or bust for Arteta this season. And I actually would not be surprised if he's gone at the end of the year, because they're not winning a trophy. They don't have the killer instinct. They're not good enough. And from the players they've got, they should be a lot better than they are. But the problem is they've got Man City's youth manager in charge, and all he does is copy Pep's tactics from a season ago. So I'm thinking I might get rid of Saka and bring in Bruno Fernandes and see what I can do with that extra £1 million.
The unit, mate. I mean, you're the Man United fan here. Is Bruno Fernandes... but what's the difference between him and Salah and the rest, in your opinion, mate?
I think, actually, I'll revise what I said on my own stream. I think Salah scores 150 points less than he did last year. Now, the reason why I say this...
So what did he get? Was it 303, something like that?
344.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I reckon he gets under 195 points this year. Heard it here first. Now, the reason why I say this, there's a really good understanding as to why I think this. So, outside of that Bournemouth fixture at the start of the season, I don't like the Newcastle away fixture. I don't like the Arsenal home fixture. Yes, game week 4, and lots of people might wildcard game week 4 because of the fact it's after the first international break. It's after the transfer window closes. And he's 14.5 mil. Like, he's massively overpriced. We saw at the back end of last season, his form really did dive off a cliff to the point where it was not far behind Cole Palmer's drop off in form. Mm. And I think Cole Palmer's coming at the same price he started last year, 10.5. I actually think Salah is about 3 million overpriced. I think he's going to be massive. He's already away for 5 games potentially during the AFCON. So that's 5 games you're not going to have him for. So that's 33 games. And his data last season, he had 18 assists. He had expected assists of under 9. He literally overperformed by more than double. There's going to be a regression to the mean. It's the same with the goals. Obviously, they could have Isaac, who's going to take the goals off him. And the way Slot's teams played in the Dutch league, believe it or not, they weren't set up to play with the right winger scoring all the goals. They were set up for the striker to score most of the goals. But in Liverpool last year, all their strikers, I have to look at Núñez. He was no good. What's his name? Diaz, when he played up front, Gakpo, they're just not as clinical. I think if they get Isaac, a lot of those goals that Salah got last year, he's not getting this year. Plus, he's lost Trent, who was ideally his partner in crime out there. So many things point to a massive drop-off for Salah to the point where he's not worth 14.5 mil. Cole Palmer, though, I think he's a lock. I think the other 3, are brilliant assets. And I've got the other 3 in my own team because of the fact they are brilliant assets. Cole Palmer's going to literally start every single game. Whether he plays in the 10 or on the right, I just want him to play how he played in the Club World Cup in the knockout rounds, because if we get that Cole Palmer, he's a War Cup captaincy shout. He could probably overtake Salah. I've actually predicted Cole Palmer to score the most points in FPL this year by some distance. I think Haaland will probably finish second. Saka, I think, is technically a better asset with Gyökeres in the team, even though he's not on penalties. He only had 1 last year anyway, so who really cares? I think he's just going to get more assists with better players up front to finish the ball. I think he's going to see his production increase. Now, Bruno Fernandes is the interesting one, and he was the one I was most skeptical about, but I had to think about it. He plays literally 90 minutes every single week. And Roberto's mate on the Formers Temporary podcast actually convinced me about this at the gym when I was listening to him, why he had Bruno in his team. And he goes, you don't have to worry about him other than when he gets red carded. And that last year it happened a couple of times. Hopefully this year, none at all. But he plays 90 minutes every week. Amarin loves him. He's on penalties. His underlying attacking data is through the roof as well. And he's done it for about 6 seasons carrying Man United with crap players around him. They've now dropped in Cunha into the team. They've dropped in Mbeumo into the team. They potentially might be dropping Watkins and Sesko. All of a sudden, Bruno Fernandes' chances of getting assists goes through the roof because he's got better players in front of him that can finish the ball and finish a biscuit. other than pass it to Rasmus Højlund, who we all know can't finish and can't even hit a barn door. And then you've got Joshua Zirkzee, who might as well be a wet mop than an actual forward, because he should be wiping the dressing room than anything else. But I think the other three are great assets. I think Salah is 56% of people, not me, are going to be watching me go above them when Salah does not perform how he used to perform. I'm calling it early. 33 years old, the hill has come for the man.
Okay, lads. I'll just say thank you to everyone listening. We hit 100 views for the first time on the FPL PubCast a little while ago, before we started slagging off Salah. Everybody got done. So thanks everyone who's watching, please, and for supporting the stream. Do please like and subscribe. So we're going to move on now, I think.
Hang on, have we not had Trigger's views on them on the premiums?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you open them. Gary, what are your views on the premiums? You've shied away from opinions so far.
Premiums? Well, we're going to see when we get to my team, mate. So, Nightmare, like, I don't want to rush this, guys. I think we're all having a good time. And some of you guys have to go. So I'm going to do my notorious bathroom break. Well, I let Nightmare read out, and you said, whose team is this?
Mine.
It is. Yeah, this is the one
you got the right slide.
Okay, yeah, because you said you wanted. This was the one from last week.
Yeah,
and you wanted to chat about it. So do you want to talk, just say who's playing, and then we'll give our opinions, and I will be back in 2 minutes, lads.
Right, I'll run this down quickly. I've got Sells as a 5 million keeper, and then a 4 million keeper on the bench who is irrelevant. I've got Kukurea, Milenkovic, Wan-Bissaka, De Kuyper, and Esteve in defence. I've got Palmer, Saka, Marmoush, Wirtz, and Rodgers in midfield, and then Solanke and Bowen up front with Jorgen Strand-Larsen as the 8th man. Now, I believe it got voted the best squad last week's stream, but Trigger wasn't happy with it. He said, if you're not bench boosting in game week 1, then what are you doing? Now, I can see that argument, but the thing with this squad is it's about price points. Now, if you don't go for Haaland and Salah, I've hit every price point. Certainly in midfield, not up front, to be fair. But, I've got a 6 million defender. I've got a 5.5 million defender. I've got 2 4.5 million defenders. They would, these are flexible. But as a team structure, I feel like that's a good structure. Because maybe Kukurea becomes Gvardiol or Van Dijk. Maybe Milenkovic becomes Tarkovsky or someone even cheaper. Who knows? But as you can see, this is very midfield heavy. I feel like the forward line are consistent. I feel Strand-Larsen is a beautiful 8th attacker because you can easily rotate him in or call him off the bench in any of the opening game weeks, apart from maybe the first one. And people are sleeping on Strand-Larsen. They're saying, Cunha's gone, so you can't get Strand-Larsen. Well, if you look at Strand-Larsen in the last 10 game weeks of last season, every time Cunha was out, he missed 5. Cunha didn't start 5 games, and Strand-Larsen scored 6 goals and got an assist in those 5 games. So Strand-Larsen actually performed better without Cunha, and now Cunha's gone, so he's going to be without Cunha for every game. So I think he's going to do quite well. Bowen and Solanke, I'm not entirely sold on either of those. And if Solanke's injured, that's probably a bit easy. But I like that midfield. Like I said before, maybe bringing Fernandes for Saka, and then I've got an extra £1 million, and I could get your man Gyökeres in for Bowen, or I could. I like Milenkovic at the back. I feel the Forest double up. I feel Forest defensively until they start Europe are beautiful. I feel you're going to get a lot of points. Yes, Europe might have an impact on them, but I feel until then they're going to do very well. And then when they do very well, I can downgrade Milenkovic to whichever cheap defender has emerged as the defender of choice, and generate extra funds in my squad for my wild card later on. So that's why I've gone with this one. It's more about the structure rather than the individual names at this point, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say about your structure is your forward line, because of Gorkias goes off or Isaac goes off or any of those, then you're going to be struggling. Or even Haaland. Haaland gets a hat-trick in game week 1 and you're in trouble. Or, your most expensive striker's only 8 million there. But I agree with you about Strand Larsen. Very, very good. And Arias joining is the key to unlocking Strand Larsen. He's an absolute assist machine. Your microphone, by the way, Gary, it's noisy. I thought it was my heat pump, but when you turn your microphone on, there's like a hissing sound. I don't know if everyone else can hear it.
The viewers will hear it less because it's on because there's a filter to stop them hearing it.
Okay. But the Strand Larsen, very good, I think.
Yeah, very like good. I was saying, I could take out Saka for Bruno Fernandes and upgrade Bowen to Gyökeres, and then I'm a bit closer. I'm not sold on Isak. I certainly won't be starting with him because even if he stays at Newcastle, I don't think his head's going to be fully in the game. And if he goes to Liverpool, I mean, I just think it's going to take him time to adapt. People think Isak is going to go off if he goes to Liverpool, but I think he's more likely to go off the boil, if I'm honest. I feel like Liverpool is worse for Isak's FPL points than Newcastle. At Newcastle, he's the main man. The entire team is structured around getting Isak the ball in dangerous areas, and that's why Jacob Murphy's performed so well, because that's his sole role in the team, to get Isak the ball in the dangerous role. When he goes to Liverpool, he's going to Mo Salah's the main man. Isak may be elite, but you're not displacing Mo Salah as the main man at Liverpool, and that team's structured around him. So it's Isak that has to adapt to that situation rather than Liverpool adapting to Isak. And he's going to be losing minutes to Ekitike at the same time because they've not brought in Ekitike to be a substitute. Yeah, they'll play him on the left sometimes. But, yeah, so I think Gyökeres or your man Watkins. I might get rid of Rodgers for Elliot Anderson, the Geordie Maradona, and bring in Ollie Watkins. I'd have an extra 1.5 million. Could bring Watkins and Elliot Anderson for Solanke and Rodgers, and I feel that would be quite good. But we need to see where. Yeah, but we need to see where Watkins is going to be as well for next season. So we'll see. We'll see. What do you think, Gary?
I agree. Well, we'll get on to my draft in a minute. I think the problem it's the whole debate about the seller, no seller, isn't it? If we spread the money, I think as Trig said, I'm always a fan of go from FF Scouts. I know we can't do it this season. We can't literally have the highest price player in every position, but I like that because it gives you a chance to move because you've got your money all spread. As Trig said, if Haaland goes off, if Salah goes off, what do you do? Having said that, if you're going to spread the money, I think this is pretty good.
What I would counter is that I believe Lovro Budicin, last year's winner, I don't think he had Erling Haaland when Haaland went off in the early game weeks and he went and won the game. I might be wrong about that, but I'm sure I read that in his interview on the FPL website that he never owned Haaland early doors. And it didn't make a difference. So obviously you're going to lose points somewhere, but you can't have every player that's going to get points. But it's about FPL's a game about mitigating risk and about like laying the odds. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't really like using them gambling terms, but it's about giving yourself the maximum opportunities to score the most points. And I feel if I sacrifice Salah, the gamble is Salah going, because we learned last season you don't need Haaland. Haaland could do whatever he wants and you don't need him to do very well. Can that work with Salah as well, knowing that Salah is going to be by far the most popular player?
I do think
that's the gamble.
I do think he did overperform last year. I do agree with Dean that his points are going to come down. I don't know if by 150, but I do think they're going to come down. Lads, have you discussed this draft? Can we move on to the next one? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the next draft is, as we can tell by the amazing graphics, D units. Darius, do you want to talk to this one, man?
The good news is, Andy, I just flicked the card and the card liked your team. So you're onto a winner.
Yeah, but that card told me to play triple Nottingham Forest on my triple Forest defence on my free hit last season, and it absolutely tanked me.
This card's good. I put it through the litmus test with some actual factual questions with a yes/no answer, and it answered all of them correctly tonight on stream.
I will wait to see what the parrot says.
All right, so this team doesn't even cost 100 mil. I've left 0.5 million in the bank. I've got the keeper rotation. I think Kelleher and Petrovic. I'm pretty settled on that. They look really good. They swap in for games when you want them. And I'm not bench boosting game week 1, even though my bench is actually pretty decent, but that's not the plan. I've gone with Wan-Bissaka, who I might change out because his defensive contributions isn't as good when I started looking at this kind of stuff today. Maatsen, I think, provided he starts, and I want to see a bit more of Aston Villa in pre-season, I think realistically he should start, and his attacking data is through the roof, and at 4.5 mil, you're not going to get any better than that. The same goes for Decupia and Truffert. I love attacking returns. I know everyone's banging on about defensive contributions. I think there is a middle ground, and I'd rather go for the attacking players and bloody boring defenders. So that's my philosophy behind it. I've got Agbadou in there as well because Wolves' fixtures up until game week 9 after Man City are unbelievably good. I think they're just behind Aston Villa in terms of their fixtures, which is why Strand Larsen is also in the team on the forward line, but he's going to be starting on the bench game week 1. Then I've gone with the midfield 5. I'm spending most of my budget, in fact, almost half my budget on the midfield. That is where the most points can be had. The goals are worth a lot there. They get an extra clean sheet point. They're quite often bonus monsters. And I'm spreading the love across all the 5 teams that I expect to pretty much finish in the top 5. So, yeah, I've got the talisman pretty much from everyone in there. I've got Foden in instead of Haaland, and potentially that is somewhere I could look to pivot because the one player I don't like having in my team is Dominic Solanke. So many people have him. I think he's an absolute fraud. He's already injured, which just raises concerns already in preseason, and I just don't like him. I don't like him as a footballer. I think he's overrated, and if he scores more than 10 goals, I'm going to send him a free shirt to say sorry. But until he does, you're crap, mate. So learn how to score a goal against Ipswich Town and come back and talk to me when you can. So that being said, the other thing I would look at is I could get rid of Saka for Gyökeres, but at the moment I think that Saka's definitely nailed to start, whereas Gyökeres, I think potentially game week 1 might start on the bench because he's going to be behind in training, and I don't think he's going to be quite as ready as Kai Havertz for game week 1, and it's against Man United, and I could just see him starting on the bench for that fixture, which is why I'm not sold on him at the moment, but he's one of interest.
Darius, I'm going to ask the first question with this. You haven't got Salah, you haven't got Haaland, but you've got 4.5 million defenders in every position. Is that wise? I mean, TriggerLips Trig, you're big on defenders at the back at the minute. I mean, I'll let Darius say why.
Last year, I did Wildcard 12 and I bought in Hall, who was 4.4 at the time. I bought in Kirkes, who was 4.4. I bought in someone else that was 4.4. And guess what? They all ended up over 5 million as defenders by the end of the season. It's not about picking the players who look good on paper. It's about the players that you expect, especially at the start of the year, to tick off, because the ones that tick off are the ones that make your squad value and are the players to own. So I'm trying to actively look at the fixtures, play a couple of bets here that I think might pay off. A bit like Maatsen. Maatsen starts, I can tell you he'll be over 5 million by the end of the season by pretty easily. He'll get there. And Decupia, again, I think he could be another one. Estupiñán's already left. That's why I don't like Dominic Solanke. I feel like Dominic Solanke is one of them players like last year. He could go down in price rather than up because he's just a fraud. Bowen's also a bit of a watch because of the fact that 8 million is an interesting price, but he's just nailed. He's a player that he's going to start every game, and that makes a big difference, particularly early in the season. You don't have to worry about, they're going to get benched or whatever. The only benching headache I've got in this team is Phil Foden. Everyone else is starting, and Maatsen probably in the entire team, which is what you want to be starting with. And last season I went with an Erling Haaland Salah draft. At the start of the season, I had them both in there, and I started really well, had a good rank at the end of the season. I just think this year, I haven't seen enough from Haaland to make me think that he's an asset you need to own from the start. And as I said, Salah, I think, with all those new arrivals and the way that Liverpool are going to change the way they play, no Trent, I just think that he's a player that is just going to be no value for money. So that's my reasoning.
Trig, we've got the cat there. Let's say hello to the cat. And what are your thoughts on Darius's draft, man?
The cat's come along because she wants to see the Parrots team. So, but
we're getting there. We're getting there.
I quite like it in a way. I know I've been slagging off 4.5 million defenders, but that was more the boring defensive contribution ones. But in terms of attacking ones, I think Darius could be right. There are going to be a few of the 4.5s that do end up being worth 5 million at some point. So Trafford's an interesting one. And for Bournemouth, brought in to replace Kirkes, could have the same result, could end up as good as Kirkes. And it's interesting because it frees up a lot more money for the rest of the team. And that midfield is absolutely dynamite. Should Foden kick off? We just do not know with him, do we? But the rest of them should be great. So he's got a good captain for game week 2 in Saka. And because it's not all about game week 1. And I quite like it. It's a good team.
Andrew, any thoughts on Darius's draft?
I think it's sexy, that midfield, like. It is sexy. You would take that out to the club.
It's a charity stream. It's a charity stream. We're not allowed to say that.
You're not allowed to say it because you're the host. You would dance the dirty fandango with that midfield all night long. Except for I'd probably do for Esteve of Burnley and use the extra 500,000 to get Marmouche in for Foden. Although he's already got 500,000 in the bank, so spend that 500,000 and get Marmouche in. What I can't believe is that he's gone with Solanke, who Darius clearly hates, when he could have Chris Woody Woodpecker. I ruled out Chris Wood because I thought he's not going to maintain last season. Well, you look at his fixtures, opening 6 games, bloody hell, like, I think I'm going to have to, as soon as I get off this, I'm getting Chris Wood in for Solanke into my draft. Bowen, I have no issues with Bowen because, he's a striker now, so he's not going to get as many points. Well, he maybe won't, but he'll still get, 6 or 7 points a game most weeks. So he's so consistent in that West Ham team. He's someone you can put in and you don't have to worry about him at all. The defence, I feel it's a little bit too much of a gamble, but I like it. I like it if you're prepared to risk, a couple of blanks. When you've got them extra defenders like Truffert and Agabadu are probably going to start. So if Martin doesn't start, if De Kuiper doesn't start, you've got the subs. But if any of them do start and get something in the opening couple of game weeks, like say De Kuiper starts and gets an assist in game week 1, his ownership, he'll be 4.7 million by the end of game week 1, and you've already got that in your bank. If Truffert shows that he can be the attacking force Kirkes was, he gets a goal, he'll be 4.9 million by the end of game week 3, and then that's in your bank as well. So it is a bit of a risky strategy to go with the 5 4.5s, but if any of them look like doing anything, they'll be in so many teams so quickly that your squad value will go through the roof, and that's where the advantage is in your hands. Like people forget that, like, it's not that long ago that 4.5 million defenders was the accepted strategy in this game. You would always have the rotating 4.5 million defenders because the points come in attack. And when you think last season, they've had to introduce a new scoring metric because the defensive players performed so poorly last season. They've had to introduce, they're not doing anything. Like, Jordan Pickford outscored every defender in the game. Matt Sells outscored every defender except for Gvardiol. So what's the point in spending all this extra money? Because they might get 10 tackles in a game. Whoop-de-doo. Phil Foden might get a hat-trick. So I like this. I like the aggressive approach. And with all the extra trips we've got, we can afford to be aggressive because we've got the wild card, we've got transfers, we've got everything. We can save up to 5 transfers. We can wild card. We've got everything is everything is on the table. They are asking us, they are begging us. Mark Southerns himself has strode into FPL Towers and he has said, make this game favour the aggressive player. And D-Unit has heard that advice. He's seen that and he's gone for it. And, you know, this team could be 5 million ranked after game week 5, but it could be ranked first in the world. And not a lot of teams you can say that about, but you can about this one. That's the gamble.
Darius, I see you nodding away there. Is Andrew making a lot of points you agree with?
Yeah, Andy's right. Like this is why I didn't like all the extra chips being added in, because this is a risk. But the good news is if it backfires the first 3 weeks, I'll just wildcard 4 instead of 12, and I'll fix the mess. But I actually think that this team's going to go fine. There's attacking returns across the board in literally every single position. I'm not playing on the defensive contributions. I'm literally just looking for all the blokes that can potentially on their day deliver me 15-point hauls. And if I get 3 of them a week, then I'm going to be fine.
Okay. All right. As Trigger's just put in the chat, it's now time to see the best team. And he's right, because it's mine. You and the parrot are next, Trig. You and the parrot are next. So I'm going, I'll read it out first. I'm not actually used to, I've not been talking at all in this stream. Kinski in goal. I've read today that his loan move may not be going through. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that. So maybe there's a chance that he starts in game week 1. Wan-Bissaka, Morello, who when me and Trig looked at the points for defenders last season, if defensive contributions have been added, was massively above everyone, including the 6 millions. Virgil van Dijk, who I think is the most locked-in Liverpool defender. Semenyo, again, as we said earlier, was massively up above any other budget midfielder for points scored last season, below 8 million when you included defensive contributions. Matoma, I heard Joe from FF Scout saying on a video the other day for players to avoid, he wouldn't have him in. So I'm umming and ahhing on that one. Palmer, yes, I have Salah. I have Salah, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the only person I believe who does. I like to have a higher priced. I like to have the highest priced player in the game. So I can spread that money out. If Salah doesn't perform and other players do, I can do that. Verts, João Pedro, Bowen, and then Kelleher on the bench. Obviously, if Kinski doesn't start, he'll come in. Konza, Esteve, and after Roberto recommended him last week, Croupier Jr. Trig, I'll come to you first, mate. Rip my team apart, mate. Rip it apart.
Looks very nice. But game week 2, you might have an issue with captain. Who are you going to captain in game week 2? You've got no Arsenal players in there. And let's see.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's not a bad side. It's not a bad side. I think Matoma's fine.
Joe really didn't like him. Joe was like, he might not start. He's not got penalties. This, that, and the other.
He is a Brighton supporter, I guess, isn't he? So
that's my thinking. That's why I took his word on board.
No, I think he's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go for a boring pick like Anderson or someone instead, couldn't you? But I
think I had Rice in originally.
Yeah, no, I think he's okay.
Yeah,
it's a bit different. I mean, obviously, as soon as FPL Review opens, your entire team will be different anyway. So it's not going to really matter, is it?
Andrew, go and rip me one, mate.
What I would say is that with regards to the game week 2 captain in that team, I think Semenyo is at home to Wolves, and I think that could be a good captain. Excuse me. And I think Palmer away at West Ham could also be a good captain, because I don't think West Ham are going to have a good season. What I'd also say is that Mo Salah traditionally does very well against us, and he plays us away at St James's Park on the Monday night. And what is sure to be an emotionally charged game, given all this carry on with Isak. So I wouldn't necessarily rule out Salah on that week either. I think it's a very nice squad. I think, yeah, I feel it's a squad that's going to be quite popular.
Yeah. I mean, I did talk. I talked Andrew into it. Andrew's a channel member in a members only video the other day. I discussed this in depth. If you want to check out channel memberships, please hit the join button. Great plug there. Darius, what are your thoughts, mate? I mean, is this template?
It's not template, but a 3 Liverpool with those opening fixtures, I think, is ludicrous. If I'm being brutally honest with you, I don't understand it. I think 1 is perfectly fine. 3 is just suicide. I think they're not going to be. I actually think that Liverpool are going to come back massively to the field. They've literally got an aging roster, and that they needed to regenerate it this summer. And we know that when teams regenerate, they take a year of transition. I think people are just massively thinking they're going to be brilliant. I don't think they're going to be brilliant. I've got them no chances of winning the league. And a Virgil van Dijk, for the love of me, I don't understand why people are picking him. He doesn't have the defensive contributions behind him. I looked at the data and I was like, why are people putting him in their teams? It's not because of that.
He's like 9.
Nah, he's not that good. Nah, I looked at the data today and I was like, I don't understand why people are picking him. Because Liverpool don't get that. Like last season, they just didn't do much of that. And obviously, the other thing is that I just think there's going to be massive regression. The fullbacks have both been changed. They're not going to defend as good. I could see lots of problems at Liverpool this year. I think they'll finish top 4, but I don't think they'll win in the league. Sorry, Liverpool fans. And I think Mo Salah, I think the Egyptian king is going to be dethroned this year as well. And let's ask the card just to be sure whether it likes Gary's triple up on Liverpool or not. Yes or no. All right. Well, apparently it does like your team, Gary.
Whoa. I mean, say you were going to go for a premium. Would you go Salah or Haaland, Darius?
Yeah, I'd go Haaland all day long.
Go Haaland?
He's younger, and I think that he doesn't have to go away for 5 games to AFCON, so you don't have to worry about transferring him out.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons why I don't like Salah this year, and the reasons are just stacked against him.
All right, Trig, let's get on to the real best team. The real best team. The Parrots team. No, we'll do that afterwards. Trig, here's your team, mate. Do you want to read us through it and let us know your thinkings?
Kelleher and Petrovic in goal, Tarkowski, Milinkovic and Virgil van Dijk in defence, along with Wan-Bissaka and a 4 million Ronaldo, or whatever his name is. Anderson, Palmer, Wirtz and Dye in midfield. Slightly less expensive midfield than the previous teams. But Haaland, Watkins and Strand Larsen up top. So Watkins can become Gurkiez at any time he wants to be. Strand Larsen, like I said, very good pick with the new signing from Flamengo, wherever it was, Fluminense. Arias is going to supply lots of ammunition for Strand Larsen. And people saying that the Man City game is a bad fixture. Last fixture Man City had, they conceded 3 goals to a Saudi Arabian team. So the City defence has yet to show that it is actually any good. It was no good last season. And it might be very well attacking-wise, but I don't see why Strand Larsen can't score against them. And the defence, those 3 will play pretty much every game. I've only got Wan-Bissaka because this is a bench boost team. And I'm not expecting a huge amount of points on my bench boost, but the bench boost is the most overrated chip out there, especially the first half one, where there are no double game weeks. So I'd be happy with 10 points from my bench boost, which is only 2.5 points per player. And so hopefully that will be achievable. My only slight doubt is Petrovic. How do we know that Neto does not start the season? You know, I know they bought Petrovic, but do we know for sure that Petrovic is going to start over Neto? But in Dye, I quite like. I mean, I know Darius didn't like him, but he's there for the short term. He's on penalties. They're playing a promoted side. I know Leeds would probably be pretty good, to be honest, but he's not a lock in my team by any means. I mean, there are a lot of options at 6.5. I'm considering Rice and others that were on that list we looked at earlier. So I quite like this team. I like 3 pricey defenders that pretty much have a floor of about 150 points each. You know, even if Milenkovic and Forest keep a lot less clean sheets, then he's still going to get over 150 points. And he's a very easy swap to someone like Gabriel once Arsenal's fixtures pick up and Forest start getting overwhelmed with Europe. So, I like this team. If Watkins becomes an issue, there's always Chris Wood and maybe upgrade in Dye. So Chris Wood could come in, 3 up, 1.5 million. But Gorkiez is an option. I think he's going to have a home debut, get home to Leeds in game week 2. And, Watkins is no good in game week 1. I am not ruling out doing an immediate swap to Gorkiez because we do have transfers. Just because this is my game week 1 team doesn't mean it's going to be my game week 3 team. And I might even be taking quite a few hits this season because I like to play aggressively earlier on. And I like having Haaland there. Haaland's been massively overlooked. And I'd rather have him than Salah. I think Haaland's more likely to repeat his points at least than last season compared with Salah, who's going to regress. I don't think Haaland's going to regress. I think he's got a lot more firepower behind him that's going to tee him up. And, I think we saw the floor of Haaland last season. The ceiling is quite a bit higher. So I'm quite happy to start with Haaland. And the fact that you two have got Foden or Mamouche and all these other Man City players, I think Haaland is just the easiest one to just put in and don't have to worry about rotation so much with him, hopefully. Although I guess Mamouche could play as striker occasionally, couldn't he, if Haaland gets a rest? But pre-season is going to be very important. Although they've only got 1 or 2 games, I want to check that Haaland is in fact coming back fit and not coming back like a big ponce like Calvert-Lewin with handbags and all that. I mean, I've seen these pictures of him on his yacht, and it's not a good sign. We want if Brian Clough was a manager, he'd have made him shave all his hair off, wouldn't he? So I don't know about Haaland's attitude. Hopefully he's tip-top, and we know what he's capable of. So that's why he's in there. But I like this team. It's got a nice balance to it. And, I looked at trying to get Fernandes in, but it's difficult. If I did change anything, it would be to downgrade Haaland and change and die to Fernandes. But other than that, that's my team at the moment.
Okay. All right. I'm going to use this opportunity to come in on my co-host's team. I don't like this, Trig. I don't like this, mate. I don't like... How much is Petrovic? Is Petrovic?
Petrovic? He's 4.5, but he might well change.
Right, okay. I downgrade him to a 4. Tarkowski.
No, because I'm playing a bench boost. You're playing a
bench boost. Okay. Still, I don't like it. Tarkowski, I think, could be Morello. I mean, Anderson and Bale.
I don't want two Forest defenders.
All right, I guess if you're playing a bench boost, it makes it slightly different. But you're still going to have that team in game week 1. I think whereas Darius's team was the attacking, free-flowing... What was the quote once of Mourinho? Letting the 4 horses run wild. This is like very, very defensive. I don't like it, mate. But Darius, jump in.
Triggs watched too much of Let's Talk FPL and FPL Rap and that.
I certainly have not watched either of those.
He's bought in the plus two bargain basement boys in every position.
You're not a fan then, Darius, I take it.
Oh no, I was just thinking because I remember I love watching Trig stuff, and he was saying about the defensive contributions, it's all going to be about that and whatever. And it's I've gone one way, gone completely attacking. Trig's gone literally all into the defensive contributions. Tarkowski, Milenkovic. I still don't rate the Virgil pick. I think you could pick a better 5.5 million defender that could offer more than what he's going to offer. Wan-Bissaka, his actually underlying defensive contributions aren't that good. But then you've got Anderson. You're doubling down here. Anderson and Belieber, defensive contribution monsters. And then you've jumped on the Ndai bandwagon that every content creator except me has been peddling. Trig. I'm disappointed.
Wait till he scores in game week 1 and Foden's not even starting.
Andrew, what's your thoughts, mate?
I can't believe we've been streaming for 2 hours and 10 minutes, and the only time you offer an opinion, Gary, is to savage the squad of a player that is by far the best of all 4 of us, who has 4 top 1,000 finishes, 3
Ancient
top
history.
500 finishes, 135th finish in the world, and you come over here, high on the fumes from FPL Review, telling him what to do with his team. I think it's a scandal. Darius, he's had 1 good season and he's telling Trigger what to do. Trigger knows more. Trigger has forgotten more about fantasy football than we've ever known. With that being said, I think this is terrible.
You trickster.
No, I would say for a Haaland draft, it's probably about as good as you're going to get. I feel like it's a bit too expensive in defence. I feel like if you downgrade Tarkowski, you could upgrade Anderson or Belieber to a 6.5 million player and it would look better. It would look nicer. Like if you had Rice in there, I feel like that would look better, or Rodri or whoever. I feel that would look a bit better. But what the main thing I'd say is I feel like Petrovic will be the starting goalkeeper for Bournemouth, so I wouldn't worry about that because Neto has returned from a loan, so they were happy to get rid of him. So he's returned from a loan. Where they've spent £25 million on Petrovic, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. But I would say this is the best Haaland draft I've seen. That's what I would say. But a little bit of refinement. But I'm sure you would get there because I know Gary was just rushing you to get something up for the stream. So
my main reason for all of these picks really is that it's a bench boost. So I really need people to start, which is why I haven't got people like Foden or Marmouche or any of those. They're pretty much 100% nailed all of these players to play in game week 1, which is what I need. And I just want to get the bench boost out of the way, basically.
Yeah.
And Ndai might not stay. Like you said, Ndai could become Rice or anybody like that might make you like it a little bit better. I think Anderson is excellent, and it does, because the reality is we have got defensive contributions. So it is going to look different from my team would normally look. Tarkowski could become somebody else, but Milenkovic might become Murillo. I just don't know yet. I haven't decided. But I think Everton and Forest both got decent fixtures. The flaw with Tarkowski, every season he racks up 150 points of his defensive contributions. So why would it change? So, no, I'm quite happy with this at the moment. But like I said, my team changes every day. So, and we've still got 2.5 weeks to go, haven't we? So anything can happen, yeah? Anything can happen.
If you're prepared to be aggressive with your transfers and maybe even your wild card, this could give you a bit of an edge because it's different than most people have. I think most people will go without Haaland. I think they'll get seduced by Gyökeres, who I don't think will start game week 1. And I think it could give you a real edge, especially captaincy against Wolves. Man City always do well against Wolves. Kevin De Bruyne famously got 30-odd points when he played away at Wolves a couple of seasons ago. So, I think this could have a very good start to the season, and an early wild card or aggressive transfers, there's a reason you're better than the rest of us, and that's because you know what's going on. That and your mystical parrot.
Yes.
If Haaland does kick off on the first week, then like you said, it's going to be massive. So I have a Parrots team,
Yes,
the
Trig,
best team.
let's get on to the real reason people are. We've got 89 people watching the Parrots team. So, do you want to just talk anyone who's not aware before we look at the Parrots team through you and Andrew's video collaboration? I don't even know if that's the right way to describe it. The other day.
Yeah, it was a collaboration because a few weeks ago we decided I was going to go on a road trip and do a looking for clues videos, and Andrew was going to be Mystic Meg and interpret all the clues. And it turned out to be absolutely fantastic. You know, I met this rare parrot and it stole my muffin and everything. And, you know, there's only literally a few thousand of them in the world, but it gave some very good FPL tips. If you haven't seen my videos on it and Andrew's, it really did. It was very clear as to who should be in the team.
Very,
You know,
very clear.
It was. Salah, it could not shut up about how expensive Salah was all over Verts for Game Week captain. So what I've done is I've actually made a team for the Parrots. So the Parrots now got a team in FPL based on Andrew's tips, which of course is the wife's new team. And she will be running it because it's her team, called Muffin for Kia.
Andrew, sorry, Trig. Andrew, I'd say it was an absolutely brilliant video. It was the craziest video I've ever seen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, and before we have a look at the Parrots team?
If you have ever wondered how a schizophrenic mind finds clues in disparate things from around the world, I feel like my FPL video was probably the best example. If you have seen the film A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe's John Nash, I felt very much like it when I was finding these clues. It's a video I'm very, very proud of, and it's also essentially a 30-minute Nick TriggerLips tribute video on the sly, because Trigger doesn't like to big up his FPL ability, but I've got no shame in bigging up Trigger's FPL ability because I feel he should do it more. Nick TriggerLips is probably in the top 5 players to ever play this game. You know, he was the FPL Harry of the mid-2010s, and he'll never tell you about it. Well, I will, and I'll spend half an hour going over the top, giving you all these random clues that you find. You won't believe them. It's like Sherlock Holmes. Later Eyes will have a picture of Sherlock on his Twitter. I'll become Sherlock to get you your FPL team based on Nick TriggerLips getting attacked by a parrot. And that's all I can say about it. And it sounds crazy, but I think it's worth your time. And I will drop the link into the chat towards the end of the stream for you to go over and watch it afterwards.
So let's actually have a look at the team. The parrot, who is named Muffin, I believe, is not here to defend him or herself. It's a him, isn't it, Nick? But I'll read through the team, and then we can evaluate Muffin's team. Sanchez is in goal. It's not a bad team, actually. Anya, Aiton Nuri, and Virgil rocking. Muffin is rocking a 3-4-3 here. Midfield: Palmer, Verts, Anderson, Belaber. This is strangely similar to your team, Trig. I wonder why. Wood, Haaland, and Bowen up front, and then Kelleher, Van Heck, Konza, and Adingra on the bench. Trig, I mean, what's your thoughts on this draft that Muffin has presented us with?
The parrot made such a good team that it's actually influenced my own team, because I saw the Parrots team, and it honestly, Adingra is going to become Granit Xhaka, because the clues in the video, in my opinion, were very clear with the Gunners and then the Swiss Alpine Village. To me, points towards Granit Xhaka. So he will come in, and has turned out to be actually cheaper than Adingra. So the Parrots actually going to go into the season with about $1 million in the bank, because I think this team is only like 99 million as it is, and it's a fantastic team. I actually think it's better than mine, to be honest.
Muffin has told you about the spare money in the bank.
If Watkins is looking like any kind of a doubt, I may well do the same and change Watkins into Chris Wood, where my team would not be that dissimilar to this team. It's a great team. I like Sanchez in goal. And all these players were mentioned in that video by Andrew, I think, apart from Kelleher and
Virgil van Dijk?
Belieber. No, Van Dijk was mentioned in the video. He was mentioned, but it was decided to go with another Dutch player who really I could not be putting in this team.
Yeah, I would say Van Heck wasn't mentioned in the video, but me and Nick TriggerLips did a bit of pondering, a bit of extra research yesterday, and on the clue about the Orange number 5 strip club, there was 2 new candidates which I overlooked, and I'm sorry for anyone who's watched the video. I did overlook these candidates, and you're going to think I'm stupid, but the Orange number 5, well, Van Heck has 5 caps for Holland. Orange number 5, but also, and D-Unit will be happy with this, Maartsen of Aston Villa played 1 game for Holland so far for the Netherlands, and in that 1 game, his only cap, he wore the number 5. So this is what I mean. Sometimes TriggerLips has interpreted a couple of the clues a bit differently than me, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? This is what we find when we look at the clues. We all see different things. So maybe if you watch the video, you'll find different clues. You'll find things that I missed, which, to be fair, wouldn't be much because I found an awful lot of random things. But, you know, what I would say is this squad looks sensational for a bench boost on the game week 1.
Claire, FPL
This is another bench boost team. Do you think it's better than my team?
yes.
I think it's a better bench boost than your team. I'm not saying it's a better team. I'm saying it's a better bench boost.
The only difference really is Chris Wood and Watkins, isn't it?
Claire's saying you missed Van Heck rhyming with Peck.
Oh, God. and the number 5 strip club was in Vancouver,
Well,
in Canada. So, oh my God, it's Van Heck. It's Van Heck. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to pull the video down and re-edit it.
Darius, I'm gonna bring you in on this one, mate. What did you think of the video, and what do you think of this team, mate?
I originally thought that Trig's unedited video was just one of the most funniest things I've ever seen. Just getting attacked by a bird was up there with some of the best stuff I've seen in FPL preseason. And then I was sitting there, I was saying to Gary before that I don't often watch too many videos because I like listening, and quite often I just put my phone down and I'll listen. So I'll play YouTube videos, but I'm just listening for the audio more than the video. And I originally started Andy's interpretation of the clues like that, and then I was like, holy hell, I've got to watch this. And then, so I actually sat there. Hopefully no one's from work's watching this stream, but I watched the whole 30 minutes at work, and I was just like, this is brilliant. But I felt like I got cheated out because I felt like he didn't commit at the end of the video to the proper team, and I was left there going, just come in.
I was trying to inspire TriggerLips to go for more random walks, to find more random animals, to see if there was any further clues that could come on. And what you've got to realise also is that video is a 30-minute advert for Trigger because he won't hype himself up. And that what followed me saying I think there might be more clues to come was I'm going to subscribe to Trigger to find out, and I think you should subscribe to Nick TriggerLips to find out as well. I was trying to get people to his channel, so that's why, because, you know, you leave them hanging, you leave a bit of a cliffhanger, and you have to watch the next episode. This is the Netflix era of the world. People need to see there's more to come, so that's what I was trying to do, give people a reason to go and watch TriggerLips in the future.
Hopefully we're going to have a sequel when the Parrot wildcards. So we're going to have to do another collaboration, I think, at some stage for the wildcard of the Parrot. But I will be doing weekly looking for clues videos and interviewing various other animals to decide the transfers for the Parrot's team, because the Parrot lives a long way away from here. He's 200 kilometers away, up a mountain. It took me a lot of effort to get there on very icy roads and very treacherous. It was very treacherous. But so I can't go and visit the parrot every week. But a lot of his cousins live just down the road, so he's instructed me to go and ask some of his mates. So I will be doing that on a weekly basis. So more to come.
It was a brilliant video, lads. Shall we have 5 minutes for questions before we wrap up, or Darius, you muted, mate.
I'm ready for bed.
All right, okay, all right.
Let's have a few questions.
Yeah,
Was there any questions?
Quickly, we've already taken like
I know
150 minutes of people's time. The viewing numbers are dropping like a stone.
All right, lads.
Yeah, what's happening? Why is everyone going? What's happened?
We're talking about Paris.
Is someone else screaming?
Love Island.
Lads, can you just tell viewers? So I'm going to say, please join me and Trig for the FPL lock-in on Saturday, where we will be talking FPL again. Every Saturday, you can find us here every week, usually at Wednesday at 6 for the FPL lock-in. Lads, can you just tell people, Trig, Darius, and then Andrew, where they can find you on YouTube, social medias, etc.?
Trig Talks FPL is my one, the YouTube channel. So I get over there, look at the parrot video, which has been edited. I had to take out the C word from the original attack because YouTube didn't like it. But I think it's still pretty funny what's up there. And it's only a 4-minute video. And there's lots of other proper FPL stuff up there as well on the channel. So check it out and have a look and subscribe. Just go there and subscribe, whether you look at anything or not, just to get my numbers up, because they're not going up as quickly as I'd like. So go and press that subscribe button.
Darius? You're on mute again, mate.
I didn't realize I was on mute. My bad. Yeah, look, you can just click on my name in the chat and it'll take you to my channel. I do a lot of FPL content. I did a live stream earlier today with Tom as well. And I have Gary on my channel, and I'm hopefully going to be getting Andy and Trig on for deadline streams this year as well. So that's going to be exciting times ahead. So yeah, lots of pre-season content still coming out. You won't get daily videos of me putting out drafts though, because that is enough to do anyone round the bend.
And I'll just say, if you guys don't realise watching, Nick and Darius, this is like 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. for them. Like they are making such efforts to come on here, so I really appreciate it, lads. Andrew.
Yeah, you can follow me at FPL Nightmare. You can see it on the screen just there. I'm in the chat. You can just click on my name in the chat. And I have also dropped the link for the video we've been talking about where I analyse TriggerLips' clues. So go and watch that right now. Don't even wait for us to say goodbye. Hop on that video and go and watch that and boost my views. Because all I hear is people saying all the content's the same. People just keep doing the same old videos. Well, I've put in 20 odd hours to make a video that's so different than anything you'll have ever seen before. So you can't complain if you don't go and support it. That's what I'm going to say. And after that, go and subscribe to Trigger because he deserves your support. Probably more than me, and certainly more than Gary.
Well, on that high note, yes, please do join our FPL PubCast mini league. The code is S3DHWZ. That's S3DHWZ. If you click on the link in the description, it will take you automatically to FPL and sign you up as well. And also, if you do want to check out, which I highly recommend you do, Nightmare and D-Unit's channels, you can click on the link in the video title and it will take you straight there. Also, this literally is a charity stream. I'm not going to stop mentioning it, even though people probably will be pissed off in a few weeks of me doing it. All the money we raise in this stream will go to charity, to Mind and Street Child UK. If you want to donate to either charity, which we highly recommend, both brilliant charities, wouldn't you agree, lads?
Yep, absolutely superb. So get your money out and go and support them.
That's the main reason we're doing this season. And yeah, thanks, everyone. Anything you want to say before we go, lads?
Just superb, absolutely superb show yet again, and keep watching every week.
What Trig said.
Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it, especially after my incendiary performance the last time I was on, where I burned some bridges forever. But Gary, you didn't think I could be trusted, and here we are, 2.5 hours in, and I think the only swear word I've said was I accidentally said the P word for urination once. And it was a very bad accident, but I feel it was I feel like other people swore more than me. So I told you I could do it, and I have.
Trig will be getting the hair dryer treatment, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as we go offline.
Trigger can do what he wants. Trigger's the star of the show. You've
Trigger
got
happy? Trigger happy.
I hardly swore.
I'm only joking, Trig. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and